if the curfew saga of last week has brought captain and coach closer together.
Maybe this would, in the future, we look back on this and go, you know, this did bring us tighter, it did bring us closer. But look, this rift, this drifting apart, that's been a thing. We certainly haven't drifted further apart than what people are speculating.
Well, talkSPORT's cricket editor John Norman is still unconvinced that captain and coach are in harmony.
Are Brendan, as Stokes now calls him, I don't know when he stopped calling him Baz. Are Brendan and Stokes, have they had a problem? I think there's still some part of this story that is still to be told publicly.
The deciding third test gets underway tomorrow at Trent Bridge at 11 a.m. Thomas Tuchel, meanwhile, wants a bit of perspective after England struggled to break down Ghana. Alan Pardew's told us it was a poor performance, but a good point, given that Konsa's challenge was a stonewall penalty. Meanwhile, Jack Wilshere thinks Tuchel should have sent natural number 10 Morgan Rogers on earlier and says he waited too long to swap in Rashford for Gordon.
Rashford has spent the year at Barcelona where, you know, they're wingers over the years, and the way they coach them and the detail they give them, they're top level, and I think he's had a top season. I think, yeah, he's probably one we might see in the next game.
England versus Panama is live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. If the result is better than Ghana's against Croatia, England will top the group. And he hasn't played for Brazil since 2023, but Neymar is fit to face Scotland live on talkSPORT tonight. Carlo Ancelotti says the 34-year-old can help break down Steve Clarke's well-organised team. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Hundreds of schools are closed and train services cancelled as temperatures push 40 degrees Celsius, and a report into maternity services has found failures at every level. Find out more with Amelia at 1:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Heatwave outside, oven inside. Stay cool this summer with a free aircon check. Book online or visit your local QuickFit today.
It's baking across the UK, feeling humid as extreme heat builds across England and Wales. Northwest Scotland is cloudier and cooler with a bit of drizzle.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Good afternoon, UK, and good morning from New York. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. So England are neutered by Ghana. How did things go from Goalfest to Yawnfest? Meanwhile, Ronaldo comes to the World Cup party, but is it premature to declare, I'm back against Uzbekistan? Also today, would it be wrong to criticise Jed Spence for his party stand? As this World Cup defied the pre-tournament narrative, ahead of his title showdown with Zayas, Boots Ennis joins us on the show today. Plus, can Scotland produce an historic night against Brazil? It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. Hi everyone, the good weather has returned to New York. It's going to be a beautiful day here, just the back of 8 o'clock this morning, the back of 1 o'clock where you are back home in the UK, and you're still sweltering, we believe. We wish you all well. Here's the thing, Simon, from Texas to New York, it's a big studio welcome to talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, the Stetson-wearing Alex Crook is in town, ladies and gentlemen. Well now. How are you, my friend?
Very well.
I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously looking at me like that.
I thought I had to maintain the Dallas look, because Dallas has got a piece of my heart.
Love it. Well, I am hearing, Simon, having good authority, Alex, you got that made for you.
Yeah, we did. I think, second day we were there? We went to a place called Rock and Boots, custom fitted to my rather large head. The sides upturned mechanically, and I've basically had it on my head ever since.
Brilliant. Well, they couldn't have got one made for him. His head's so big, you'd never get one on it.
This is the embodiment of a 10-gallon hat on a 2-pint head, isn't it?
Excellent. How much did that cost you?
This one would retail for about $100, but you could pay all the way up to $1,000. Obviously, I'm too frugal for that. But I did get a nice sort of cowboy shirt thrown in as well.
Excellent. Looks good on you. How was Dallas? How was Texas?
Fantastic. I've got to say that the people were incredible. The locals are really swept up in World Cup fever. The stadium where England opened their World Cup campaign and when we saw Messi become a history maker at the weekend is probably the best stadium I've ever been to. It is absolutely incredible.
Brilliant. Good to have you on board, Alex. Welcome to New York. This has been our home. Is that you in that? If you're watching on YouTube, that is Alex Crook. What on earth are you doing, and what is that thing you're attempting to stay on top of?
That is a mechanical ball. I actually thought I did quite well at the time, and then you look at it back and you realise maybe not.
Well done.
No comment from Simon on that one.
You've got into Texas live. No, what is funny, Alex, is that producer Luke and I were in Jamie Carragher's New York bar last night watching England-Ghana. And at half-time, we thought, let's go to our respective hotels, see you in the morning, and we'll watch the second half back at our respective places. And then I believe you arrived.
I timed it that way, so I could spend as little time with you as possible.
We timed it that way. Anyway, what did you make of it, Simon? I mean, I said in the introduction, Go Fest to Yawn Fest, Game 1 to Game 2. How did it go from Go Fest to Yawn Fest? What's your take on it?
I think the opposition. I think England, you know, you can argue about England should move the ball quicker. You can argue about some of the players' performances. You can look at the opposition and say they were physically very strong. They set out to stop England, and England didn't have the ideas. Now, you know, with due respect, when you play in opposition, it's much more easy to be destructive than it is to be constructive. And people will argue about the fact that you've got to overcome these teams if you're going to win a World Cup. If you're going to win a World Cup, you're going to play teams that more often than not, when you get to the latter stages of the competition, are going to attack you. This team had no desire to do anything other than achieve a point in this game. Now, whilst we want to go to the heights of, you know, what a great second-half performance against Croatia, so we can go to the depths of a poor performance against Ghana, I think the interesting situation is the reaction from lots of people. I was interested to see what Ibrahimovic and Henry would be saying, because they're quite vociferous. They were very pragmatic about the situation. They were actually very balanced. They thought it was a good game, which was interesting. They thought that England, whilst not disappointing but slightly underwhelming, did their job to some extent. They you know, and the Ghanaians were given a lot more credit than people perhaps should have given were given them prior to the game.
You say that, Simon, but England almost came unstuck. I mean, they rode their luck on the break, Alex. Jordan Pickford risked a red when charging outside the box, tackling Prince Adu, whilst on a separate occasion, Adu was brought down by Konsa, but no penalty was awarded. So there was a bit of riding of luck, wasn't there?
Yeah, I don't think it was a red card. I do think it was a foul, and the referee got that one wrong. And I do think it was a penalty. And I was surprised, actually, there wasn't more of an appeal for it from the Ghanaians. But just on the overall picture, I've had a lot of messages from folk back home saying that was a very Gareth Southgate-like England performance. And I understand the sentiment. And I do think Thomas Tuchel should take a little bit of criticism, Simon, for not reacting earlier. He could have hooked both wide players for me at half-time. I thought Madueke was poor. I don't understand what people see in Anthony Gordon. I can't believe that Barcelona have paid the money they have for him. Yeah. And it was only really when Saka and Rashford in particular came on that England carried any kind of attacking threat.
But it's interesting because people make a song and dance about Rashford. And when he starts for England, he very rarely sets the place alight. It's interesting that he switched. What I watched him do was switch Madueke to bench side, because he obviously wanted to have a conversation with him during the course of the game. Rather than sub him, he put Saka on, and he put Madueke onto the left and attempted to drive him on. Ironically, some of the best moments came from Madueke. I think he's a speedboat without a brain, but the other people, including the England manager, think he's better than that. So there's obviously a situation where there's an expectation. Rashford comes into this conversation every time. And how many times has Rashford started for England? And we can look back and go, what a performance that was. Rashford's an impact player. There's a reason why Barcelona haven't signed him. There's a reason why he got marginalised at Manchester United and his form was so poor. And some of it's his attitude. So you can't just turn around and say, well, Rashford is a solution.
But should he have not been able to make an impact earlier, Simon? That's my point.
Possibly, but I don't think it was a Southgate-like performance. I think there was elements of the game that people can draw a parallel with, but England's attitude towards towards the game was not to try and survive it and accept a point. He threw so many attacking players on to try and achieve an account. That's nothing like Southgate. At the end, the reasons why the Ghanaians got a couple of chances in the end, and you're not going to go through a whole game without some jeopardy, was that England's midfield was reduced to actually offensive only. We took off anything that was vaguely resembling defensive, pushed out Declan Rice even further up and threw on every single conceivable attacker that we could possibly
But having said all that, and I'll put this to the two of you, with all the attacking options available to them, is it not a concern the new front-footed approach disappeared after one game?
Depends if you consider how he came missing the sitter. An outcome. We've hit the crossbar, we've had chances. Certain players I think could have done better. I think Madueke, again, I go back to him, I think he lacks confidence at times. There's a couple of times when he could have driven in and had a real go at the goalkeeper. But I look at it and say, if Harry Kane had taken a copper-bottomed, gilt-edged chance, we'd all be saying, not an ideal performance, but job done.
Yeah.
And those are the tiny margins. And we perhaps sit here and allowed ourselves to be convinced that the Ghanaians were not very good. What they were very good at doing was being very disciplined.
Oh, you're right.
Because the stick before the show was they don't know their backsides, they have no organisation, they're disorganised. Well, they certainly were very structured. And they
Did you get a little bit carried away after Croatia?
Probably, yeah, because that second half performance was terrific. So maybe it's not a bad thing that everyone's been brought back down to earth. But my only concern, Anthony Barry, one of the coaching staff, gave his half-time TV interview, didn't he? He was obviously quite vociferous and damning half-time against Croatia. Yesterday, he actually said, I believe, we didn't expect Ghana to sit quite this deep. Now, that's a little bit of a concern, bearing in mind they allowed Panama to have more possession in their previous match. So were England properly prepared for what they were coming up against, based on those comments?
I mean, look, you react to circumstances, don't you? I mean, you can't actually know, unless you're the coach of the opposition, how deep a team or what their formation is going to be until you encounter it. It's not about that, it's about how you react to it. I felt at times England could have moved the ball quicker, and that is a common denominator between the Southgate. And that goes to the point, no matter how good you look at our midfield and how much you praise Declan Rice, Souness and people have always talked about this. Is there clever balls in some of these players that open? There's a clever ball in Eze, but Eze came on the field and was immediately bullied off the ball because they were very physically strong, the Ghanaians, and that's something you won't encounter very often, but they encountered it there.
You probably saw at half-time, Jude Bellingham became embroiled in a heated exchange with the Ghanaian head coach Carlos Queiroz, one-time Manchester United, and his bench. Queiroz told ITV afterwards Bellingham, quotes, had a bad reaction with some bad names. So there's a bit of verbal between the two of them. Of that, there was no doubt. Do all the best players, and Bellingham is one, do they need to play simmering on the edge, Alex?
He's got that fire in his belly, and I don't think that's a bad thing. If you take that out of him, then maybe you take a bit of talent away as well.
Yeah. Tuchel spoke about it, actually, Simon, post-match, denying the Queiroz claim that Ghana had got under England's skin. This was Tuchel.
I have to tell him he got under no one's skin. We knew that is difficult, and we played a lot of matches, all of us, to know that this is legitimate to try to stop us. But it had nothing to do with them. Like we had a quick, I think some players had a quick exchange on the way in. There's nothing new, but we were very calm in half-time, encouraged everyone to stay patient and keep pushing. Took us a while in the second half, but then I was quite okay with what happened.
So now it's all down to Panama. England on 4 points, Ghana on 4 points, Croatia on 3, Panama nil point. So how awkward can an already knocked out Panama really be, Simon? What do you think, Alex? 42nd ranked in the world. Are they going to do anything against your lot?
Well, I thought, quite honestly, they were quite good last night against Croatia. They were quite open, they were quite bold. I thought it was quite an entertaining game. And the Croatians had some trouble with them. If you're Panama, what are you playing for? You're playing for nothing. So you might as well have a go. So if you're going to have a go, which they did against Croatia last night, England are going to pick them off. The difficulty is England, like a lot of teams, when it comes to a low block, struggle to move the ball around quick enough and struggle to create the outcomes that create space. Now, when you get into a knockout, is that going to be more prevalent? I would suspect that most teams aren't going to play for penalty shootout. So you're going to see parts of a game where England play again. The story is going to be, because it suits us to make the story, England couldn't break down Ghana. Rather than England have done their job, they've got a point. They just need to beat Panama and they're through. This is a tournament that consists of qualifying games where people are going to play in a certain way. And one of the questions that came out is when you've got these sort of games, when you've got 2 teams and 3 teams that can qualify, are you going to see games where the opposition's sole intention is to stop the opposition and to bank up and to make it difficult? And we've seen this happen in other games. We've seen leading teams being stopped by opposition and outcomes that people didn't project. I don't look at this as something particularly telling about England. I think that when we get to the next stages, the question will be if we play another side when we get to the round of 32 or the round of 16, God willing, and going forward, I suspect we will. When we come up against opposition whose sole intention is to survive a game, what do we learn from this lesson?
Right, OK. Alex, we're going to head to the break. What I'm going to do is invite listeners this morning back in the UK, even over here in the US, if you want to get involved, get involved. Tell us what you thought, because game 1 to game 2, how did things go from goal fest to yawn fest? That's a fair question, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, but we've seen this film before. It's quite often that England struggle in the second group game in a tournament. And I agree with Simon. Teams have to feel their way. And Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in their first game at the last World Cup and went on to win it. So it's not a disaster for England, but we need to see a better performance against Panama. All
right, Panama next. But England fans listening in today, back in the UK, it's afternoon your time. Here in the US, morning our time. What did you think? Game 1 to game 2, goalless against Ghana. How did it go from goal fest to yawn fest? And are you somewhat concerned in any way as England look to progress in this tournament? 03717 223344. And it's good morning to the security man in the 24-hour chemist shop opposite my hotel. Yeah, I really am on air with Simon every day, and I'm delighted that you watch us over here. We're live in talkSPORT, and we're coming to you from New York City.
Now, earlier in the show, we asked the all-important question. Who was faster in their pomp? Kyle Walker or Gabby Agbonlahor? Well, talkSPORT's Anil Kandala was at the talkSPORT fan zone at Villa Park last night for England against Croatia, and he put that question to some of the fans in attendance.
It's a tough call, but I'd go for Gabby. He was awesome, and no defender wants anybody with that pace running at them. So I'd go for Gabby. I would.
Quicker than Kyle Walker?
I think so. Yeah, I do. And I'm sure Gabby would agree with me.
Gabby. Well, he used to dart across the field, didn't he? I think he's better than Kyle, to be honest.
Well, we had Kyle on loan for us for many years ago, and he was quick, but Gabby was quicker.
And there you go. It might be a little bit unfair because Gabby Agbonlahor is in that building behind me, but it seems that Gabby's got the vote.
Right, the rest of the world. He actually spoke to about 100 people who were there, but we already decided to show 3, okay?
I clipped that up for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? When I think about Kyle, when I go back to that game, Kyle, of like, I think it might be Germany at Wembley, and you was right side of the 3, but like you was all the way in the right back position, and I was at the game, mate, and you come sprinting across, mate. Someone was through on goal. I can't remember who it was. It was Muller, yeah. I'm like, where has this guy come from? And you've done that the last 15, 16 years, mate. Your centre-half pairings with England and Manchester City must have been looking at you thinking like, okay, maybe I can leave a bit of space in behind, because you would always just come out of nowhere and cover.
Yeah, I think that was what my game was based on. You know, I probably didn't create that much going forward with assists and stuff. I chipped in with a few, but not as much as probably what I...
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Beautiful morning here in New York. If you're watching on YouTube, but live with us today, the Statue of Liberty looking absolutely magnificent. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Alex Crook. We're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation. Don't forget, for more reaction to England's 0-0 draw with Ghana, tune into the latest talkSPORT World Cup Daily Podcast episode with Stuart Pearce, with Jim Proudfoot and Adrian Durham. It's available on all podcast platforms right now. England drew 0-0 last night with Ghana. Next up, they're up against Panama. Should get through that hurdle, get over that hurdle quite easily. One would think. But what was your take? What really did you see in that Ghana game last night? And as I mentioned, Ghana might well have nicked it when the Prince, they call him, ran through, but couldn't beat Pickford, and the game ended up goalless. How has it come to this? How did it go from a bit of a goal fest in the first game, 4-2 against Croatia, to yawn fest against Ghana? Many of you calling in back home, and I'm delighted about that, because that means you're about to join us live over here in the US. 03717 223 Gary, Newcastle fan and no doubt England fan, good morning. What do you want to tell us?
Morning, boys. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. What was your take in the game against Ghana?
Oh, we've gone backwards, mate. I mean, against Croatia, I saw something that I never thought I would see, which is good energy, good attacking. Ghana parked the bus and we didn't know what to do about it. There was absolutely nothing there that we could do. And that's down to his choices, I'm afraid, Tuchel's choices.
Yeah, so that concerns you somewhat. I mean, Simon, Gary's got a point. Ghana parked the bus. Carlos Queiroz was always going to have them well organised with the accent on defence. And it was up to the team that Tuchel selected to unpick that.
Well, the suggestion was that they weren't organised, and coming into the tournament, they just got bashed up 5-1 by Austria.
But that's why they brought in Queiroz.
They did, yeah, and they were very well organised. And the fact that England, with due respect to the caller, battered Ghana for the last 10 or 15 minutes, you might say, why didn't they during the course of the game? I think Tuchel's explanation is relatively calm. I think it's very, very, very balanced. And I don't really care that we've had the awful indignation of only getting a point against Ghana, because we're not going to win this tournament because we beat Ghana 10-0. We're going to win this tournament because when it comes to the major opposition that we've never been able to overcome, that is the moment which will define whether Thomas Tuchel is what we think he is or he isn't. And everything else, to me, is to some extent background noise and fodder and chip paper. But I understand why we have to discuss it, because it's a reactive world.
It's almost two tournaments built into one, this, because so many teams go through from the group stage. England are not in any danger of not qualifying. The only jeopardy now is whether they go through in first or second. Either outcome, they're going to have to beat some big hits. I think if they were to finish second, they'd meet Spain quite early. If they finish top, it's a really treacherous route to the final. And Simon's right. That's why Thomas Tuchel has been brought in, because for all his qualities, Gareth Southgate couldn't get us over the line against the elite nations. He couldn't beat the teams that were on a par or better than England. And the FA and Thomas Tuchel sees someone who has that capability.
Joe's a Blackpool fan back home in the UK. Joe, hi from New York. You're through to us. What do you want to say about England last night?
Hi there, Jim. Hello from the sunny Gold Coast, turning it down to roasting. I'd say let's not panic. If last night was the first game in the groups and the Croatia game was the second, we wouldn't be having all this rigmarole. We won't be having all this conversation. We'd be saying we've improved. Did we probably play the game in terms of how we could? Probably not. But Jim, one thing I did hear today was that 2002 was the last time that a team actually won all the group games and then went on to win the competition. Alex might know, but I think, was it Brazil in 2002?
Fair enough. We'll check that out. We'll take your word for it, Joe. I mean, he's right. I think it's don't panic, Captain Mannering. That was what Kane said post-match as well, Simon.
Just look, people want forward momentum. And of course they do. And if we can't discuss things in isolation, all of us know in this room that the bigger picture is they're going to get through the group and probably go deeper into the tournament. And when they come up against opposition that might be better, that's the question that needs to be answered. We all know that. But for the purpose of this conversation, you have to discuss each game on its individual merits. Do we think England could have performed better? Are there questions that Tuchel... My belief system, and it might be proven to be wrong, is that Tuchel has the bandwidth to pivot, adjust and change. And that's what I don't think we had previously. And that's not sitting here degrading what Gareth Southgate did. It's talking about the facts as I see them. And I look at it and say, OK, the question is, the next time we encounter a team that want to play that way, that have limited ambition, that's only desire in life is to get 4 points to be able to qualify, but that won't happen again in the knockouts because someone's got to survive a game. If their ambition is to get to the penalty shootout, what are we going to do to change the direction of travel? My big thing was that England were slow in the build-up. And the moment they weren't slow in the build-up, the moment we started switching the play from left to right, you started to move the Ghanaians around, you started to isolate their fullbacks, and you started to get outcomes. And you wonder why that wasn't done earlier in the game. And that might be a personnel issue, but I'm not in the camp that whatever we didn't have on that field is the reasons why we didn't get outcomes. Because if you start with Rashford, I guarantee you we'd have had the same situation sitting there going, Rashford started, and he didn't produce the outcomes that he does when he comes on for 15 minutes.
Well, we might find out the answer to that question. Because I think Rashford will start against Panama, and I thought he looked fired up when he came on. Obviously, there's probably added competition now. The fact that Anthony Gordon effectively has not only nicked his place in the England team, but he's nicked his place at Barcelona as well. Yeah. But it is going to be interesting to see how Thomas Tuchel approaches this last game, because the vibes coming out of the camp before this match was that there wouldn't be too many changes. Obviously, only made 2. Yeah. There'd be wholesale changes in the final game, assuming they were going to beat Ghana.
Let's hop around
they need a result, they're probably not going to make wholesale changes.
Let's finish hopping about England and get a final caller. Chris, who's a Liverpool fan. Chris, you watched it, you maybe listened to it, but you'll have a view on it. England 0, Ghana 0. Are you that bothered?
Hi guys, you okay?
Good, thank you, Chris. What do you think?
Basically, I don't think we need to panic. I think Ghana's game plan was superb. They stuck to exactly what they needed to do. And I think it was a 9 or a 10 out of 10 performance from them. Coming back to England, after the first sort of like 15, 20 minutes, you could see how the tone was going to get set. And I just thought that the frustrating thing is like, yeah, we are going to win. I think we're going to win the group and we're going to move forward. But it's that thing around when we come up against teams who play a low block like that, is why do we always seem to struggle against them? I know it's difficult to play against them.
Right, I'll put that to the boys, actually. Chris, thank you for that. I mean, Alex and Simon, you could argue defensively England were suspect against Croatia, and now they couldn't break down in Ghana. Is that not a point?
Yeah, but he addressed that with the changes. I thought we looked a lot more solid at the heart defence with Gay in there, as opposed to John Stones, who for me looked like he'd not played much club football this season. Obviously, Spence came in primarily to combat Semenyo, did a pretty decent job there. So, Croatia game wasn't perfect.
Right.
The second half performance was very good, and that sort of set the bar, I think, with what we want to see moving forward.
Sure. I mean, Simon, Croatia, Ghana, 2 different kind of teams.
Yeah.
Who presented you with 2 different kind of problems.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, of course, what we probably needed was Jordan Henderson. Look, the fact is that in games like that, they're very difficult. Every team that plays against a side that's sole function in life is to be able to stop you will struggle. I don't care who the side were. I don't care what team we're talking about. We're talking about teams in this competition that have played against lesser teams. Spain drew 0-0.
Yeah.
In games like this, I personally think you've got to start very fast.
Yeah.
And if you can get an early goal, then all of a sudden the game plan for Ghana goes out the window because they can no longer just sit in. They've got to come out, and when they come out, they get picked off. And we didn't start with any tempo. And Tuchel talked about feeling his way into the game and being careful about the opposition because he certainly didn't. And he keeps on saying this thing, which I find interesting because I don't think he's a guy that misrepresents. He keeps on saying this is a very difficult group. Now, either he knows something that we don't know, or he's really indulging in the art of kidology, and that because all we did was sit in the studio, including with Asasu, talking about how Ghana were a poor side that were there to be taken advantage of. Kudos wasn't playing. You know, the arguments about what party he was and what he wasn't in terms of the circumstances surrounding him all came into the conversation, and it was an assumption that Ghana were just there to be smacked around.
Well, very briefly, Alex, they couldn't find a way. They couldn't unpick the Ghanaian defence. There's Ian, who's a friend of both yours and mine. I'll tell you in the break who it is. But he says, my concern would be, with the likes of France, Argentina, Germany or Spain, 4 of England's potential rivals, have found a way last night to get rid of Ghana.
Yeah, although
overcome
I think the Germans were very fortunate to beat Ivory Coast.
They were.
Missed a massive chance, Adingra at one end, and then Germany go up and score the winner at the other. I've not been overly enamoured with Germany. They put 7 in their first game, but they weren't playing anybody, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Simon joked about Jordan Henderson. I do think that's a waste of a squad place, because what that game was crying out for me last night, you didn't need 2 sitting midfielders against that Ghanaian team. Adam Wharton had the ability to come on with his passing and break the lines. And because Jordan Henderson's there and Wharton isn't, we didn't have that option available.
OK, so much for that. It ended goalless. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Alex Cook. We're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation. Messi became the all-time top scorer in World Cup history, 2 goals against Austria. But it's remarkable, Simon, that he continues to rewrite the history books as he approaches 39. I mean, it is remarkable.
39 tomorrow, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these players, these elite players that are now looking after themselves. Ibrahimovic was playing up until 41. You know, Ronaldo is playing despite people making observations about his form. You know, that's because they're judging him by a set of standards that he can no longer get to. Messi at 39 years of age, these are supreme athletes that look after themselves, that are consummate professionals and want to play football. It makes you wonder, without trying to be controversial, why Alan Shearer stopped playing international football so young.
Oh, that's right.
You know, you wonder why these players can look after them. So you wonder how clever Harry Kane will be that will enable him to play to this age, because you know, football's a wonderful game to play and you're a long time retired.
Yes.
So well done to him. Fabulous.
He's competing in his 6th World Cup. He's scored 18 goals in the tournament, which is 2 more than Miroslav Klose, the previous record holder. He's the 3rd player to score in 6 successive appearances at a World Cup after Just Fontaine, great name, in 1958, and Jairzinho, you remember him, in 1970.
You were at those games?
I wasn't at that. I've met Jairzinho, incidentally, in Rio many years ago. With him in this form, though, why can't Argentina win the World Cup again? Do you have a sneaky feeling they might?
No. I think that... you know, there has been instances, and we've seen it, and I know that I'm rolling against the precedent.
Yeah.
But on the whole, teams win World Cups. Now, obviously, we've seen the '86 World Cup being dragged there by Maradona. We've seen the 2022 World Cup being dragged there by Messi. I think there are better teams that are able to overcome the individuality of one player. At the end of the day, someone has to provide the ball to Messi to be able to allow him to do the things that he does. And I think there are better teams that are going to be able to deny the supply. But I think that...
If there's one thing Brazil loves more than samba and sunshine, it's football, or as they call it, futebol. And trust me, this love story goes way back. It all started in 1884 when a young Brazilian named Charles Miller returned from England, aged 21, carrying a pair of footballs and a Hampshire FA rulebook. He was basically the original influencer, bringing back trends from abroad. And just like that one mate who insists you have to try their new obsession, Miller convinced everyone to give this little English sport a go. Spoiler alert, it caught on. The entire nation fell head over boots for the game. And fast forward a few decades, it was time for Brazil to start playing in the World Cup. Then came 1958, the year a 17-year-old kid named Pelé showed up and Brazil won its first World Cup. From there, Brazil kept adding stars to the jersey, 5 to be exact, the only country with that many titles and the only country to participate in every World Cup. Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game, became Brazil's signature. It's part of the national identity. Think dazzling footwork, joyful play, and the occasional move that makes you wonder if gravity just took the day off. So next time you see that iconic yellow jersey, remember, it all started with one guy, 2 footballs, and a nation ready to fall in love.
Thanks for all the messages, all the texts, all the emails that are coming our way from so many of you back in the UK. It is a beautiful morning here in New York. Absolutely lovely. Not quite as hot as it is where you are back in the United Kingdom. We're hearing all sorts of stories of crazy, crazy heat in the country back home. Gorgeous here this morning. The New York skyline, if you're watching live on YouTube. Pictures provided by our own Joe and Susan and Finn. It really is a joy to be here, I have to say. Wonderful city. You'll be glad to be here. Alex Crooks joined us from Dallas. You'll be glad to have made it to New York because we've been going on about how good it is, Alex, and it is.
Yeah, my first time here, so looking forward to exploring. We're going off and seeing some of the sites this afternoon, and yeah, I mean, this venue that we find ourselves broadcasting from is breathtaking.
Yeah, it really is. A whole bunch of things going on back home as well. I said right at the start, whatever happens back home, if it's newsworthy, then we will cover it. And certainly many items of sports news fall into that category, such as Derek McInnes, who's taken over at Rangers, formally speaking for the first time today. We hope to hear from him before we go today at our time, 11 o'clock, at your time, 4 p.m. Simon, before I leave the situation last night surrounding England and Ghana, pre-match, the FA reportedly left the decision of shaking hands with Thomas Partey up to the individual England players. Partey, you may or may not know, is set to stand trial in the UK on rape and sexual assault charges. He was charged last year with 5 counts of rape, 1 of sexual assault, then charged with 2 new counts of rape in February this year. He has pleaded not guilty. He played last night from the start for Ghana, even had the captain's armband on towards the end. And it was up to the England players whether or not they wished to shake hands with Partey. Jed Spence appeared to not shake hands with Thomas Partey before the game itself. So Spence, Simon, the outlier, if you like. But would it be wrong to criticise him for taking a stand on Partey, as he seems to have done?
Well, I mean, it's one of those where you would think the common sense approach would be to have agreed approach amongst all the team and then have a unified stance. The difficulty is nobody knows what happens in the backgrounds of people's lives. And the nature of these charges are so significant and serious and reached a burden of proof that's gone beyond an allegation into a charge. The man is still innocent until proven guilty. But if you've got in the background people's lives that have had circumstances in their lives, then you can't enforce them to make a decision around something that you never know what's happening in someone's background. Now, the flip side of the argument is I do hope that Jed Spence has never done anything in his life, or will never do anything in his life, where he's judged to be guilty prior to the presumption of innocence. I do hope that that position and his behaviour in the past has always been exemplary, and his behaviour in the future will always be. There will be people that will celebrate this position. And of course I understand that, because you must not ignore the victim in this situation. But we do live in a society, or victims, we do live in a society, and we must continue to live in a society as much as we possibly can, where you are innocent until proven guilty. So with the situation surrounding Jed Spence, my view is, as I said, I do hope there's never been anything in his past or anything in his future that will detail that people get to judge him in a fashion that he appears to have judged Thomas Partey.
The thing is, Alex, if it's left to the players as it was, apparently, then Jed Spence is quite entitled.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that, or maybe I will.
Yeah, everyone has their own peace of mind. Maybe you respect him in some ways for not being a sheep. But I totally agree with Simon's sentiments. And my other question would be, and maybe Jed Spence maybe asked this in the fullness of time, was it a moralistic decision? Or was it some kind of attempt to appease the Tottenham fans because of Partey's Arsenal background? Only he knows.
I hadn't even thought of that. Alex, somebody you know well is back in the game in England. Gary O'Neill goes from Strasbourg to Ipswich. As you may recall, Kieran McKenna has confirmed that he'd be leaving Ipswich earlier this month to take a break from management, which surprised everybody in the game, not least the Ipswich hierarchy. Before I get your take on that, Gary O'Neill has been speaking now that he is the man in the hot seats, and he has a message of his own to the Ipswich fans.
I can't wait to meet them. I can't wait to stand in front of them, represent their football club for them. I guarantee them I will represent them with 100% passion, honesty, work rate. They won't find anyone that works harder on their team than I will. And I'm 100% sure that we will stay in the Premier League this season. I sit here right now and there are no doubts in my mind. Belief is a big factor. I remember the Mainz quarter-final in the Conference League where we lost 2-0 away from home at Strasbourg, and I told the players that day that we would 100% win the tie. They looked at me a little bit like I might be crazy, and we win 4-2. And I can say that as confidently sat here now, that I know we can achieve our goal this season. It's an important part of the journey. The club has grown so quickly and had so many successes, but the big step is, can we stay in the big league and give ourselves a chance to build? And between now and May, they're going to get everything I've got to make sure that that happens.
I mean, he's being bold, Alex. He's saying, yeah, we're up in the Premier League. We're going to stay up. We're going to stay up. He's got to deliver, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a track record of keeping teams in the Premier League. I mean, when he inherited a Bournemouth side that had just been walloped 9-0 at Liverpool, I think everybody was writing them off, and they stayed up. He went into a difficult situation at Wolves, kept them up first time around, and then obviously it very quickly unravelled. Went to Strasbourg, got them to the semi-final of a major European competition. So I think his CV is better than a lot of Ipswich fans are giving him credit for, but I can also understand why maybe they would have wanted a high-profile appointment.
Samuel, what kind of an appointment do you think Gary is following McKenna?
Well, listen, I want to caveat my response by saying I very much like Gary O'Neill. I think he's a very decent football operator. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a very decent bloke. My concern is that I don't think he's particularly strong. As you know, and I don't care if people don't like the indiscretion of it, I spoke to Gary after his Wolves, and he may well be reeling from the consequences of being sacked at Wolves. But life is about resilience, and there's nothing about Gary that I felt was particularly resilient or particularly strong. Now, there's unique factors behind that. Cunha is a force of nature in the same way that perhaps Eric Cantona was, except Eric Cantona was playing at Man United and Cunha was playing at Wolves, and that dressing room at Wolves wasn't well controlled, and he lost control of it. Now, of course, Alex makes some very good points. He makes some very good points that, that the credibility of keeping Bournemouth, a side that's really kicked on, by the way, in the division, and the credibility of keeping Wolves up are part and parcel of an argument. The legacy that was left behind at Strasbourg by Liam Rossigna and him being able to carry on a decent platform getting to a semi-finals of a tournament is another argument. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Mark made that decision. because I look at it and think Ipswich have been down, gone back up again. It's a blow to lose Kieran McKenna, but they're a good football club and they've got good ownership and good thinking. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm very happy to have it shoved down my throat. But with Gary, you know, in my judgment, and I made some good judgments and some bad judgments. So you can look at the appointments I made 10, 12, 13 years ago and say, well, actually, you made just as many good or bad decisions as these guys were going to make. In this new world of a global audience, when I got promoted with Palace, excuse me, I didn't have this litany of managers that perhaps Steve Parish has had at Palace when Roy was available and Tony Pulis was available and Sam Allardyce was available. I got Joe Kinnear or an ageing George Graham. And that's not suggesting that excuses my appointments. What I'm saying is there is an embarrassment of riches out there that enable a club of Ipswich's calibre and size to be, I think, a bit more expansive in their thinking. Mark Ashton will point to his record. His record is to appoint one manager, which is Kieran McKenna, and that appointment stood the test of time. I worry for this appointment. I worry for Gary in terms of the fact that this will be a very difficult job to contend with, and I worry for Ipswich that they've missed an opportunity to take the second arriving in the Premier League and to learn the lessons from the previous one, which they told me at the time, Kieran told me at the time, and Mark told me at the time, the reasons why they felt that they'd got challenged in the Premier League was because of the physicality, and they'd learned some big lessons.
The problem is he's a hard act to follow, McKenna.
Yeah, because the Ipswich fans absolutely love him, although I would still point to that season in the Premier League and say that he didn't cover himself in too much glory. And even in the Championship this year with a huge budget, there was a time when they were stuttering to promotion. So I actually think it'll be interesting to see when McKenna comes back into his next job and see how he fares there. But it's a red flag if I was Gary O'Neill as well. I think it's a gamble for him because he needs this to work for his reputation, because there are doubters such as Simon has alluded to there. Why did Kieran McKenna walk away? Did he feel like his reputation would be stronger now, having just taken Ipswich into the Premier League, than maybe staying in the job and taking them back down to the Championship again? Did he not believe they're going to have the resources to stay up?
Well, we'll see. Well, I mean, we'll see if there's any integrity behind it. And I can't help but say it, and people are not going to like me for saying it, and Gary's not going to like me for saying it. When I walked away from Gary O'Neill, I thought, you're weak. And I told him, I said, that's weak. What you just told me was weak, and I can't help but have that in the back of my mind.
Maybe his mindset's changed,
and that is the point that I want to see. But we are what we are.
Right.
I am what I am. I can't, I can live, the life of a lamb, or I can live it as a lion. I say the things as I see it, and sometimes I wish I didn't. So we are what we are. And when someone shows you what they are, Jim, believe them.
The one thing I would say about Gary is he backs himself. He will back himself to keep this club up.
Sure,
of course. I mean, surely in an interview, that's what he's going to do.
We're across a whole bunch of things, incidentally. We'll try and get Alex's take on this before we go today, but Arsenal reportedly set to accelerate their interest in Morgan Rogers, likely to cost them up to £100 million from Aston Villa. Might get to that in the fullness of time. There's so much going on here. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Alex Cook, live in talkSPORT with Tool Station. First stop, Tool Station.
Steve Clarke's taken a bit of heat since the Morocco game, Alan, because, there was a feeling that Shankland, who is a natural finisher, maybe should have been on the pitch, never got a chance.
Well, I was going to come to that, guys, because this Brazil game, what does he do? Does he sit back, and if we get beat 1-0, it's probably enough to qualify, which is remarkable, which is brilliant? Or does he have a go and say, look, let's push them back, let's try and get at them? Now, who do you play up front? Do you play Shea Adams again, who's more mobile than Shankland? Shankland is the best finisher Scotland have got in the squad. He's a McCoy's job. He can finish, make no mistake. So he'll be kicking Steve Clarke saying, you got to play me. You got to play me. I'm in great form. So it's an interesting one. But whoever plays there, as I say, guys, I think John McGinn's the one who's got to try and spark off him when the ball goes forward. We've got to retain some sort of possession and we're going to be under so much pressure. And down that left-hand side, Vinicius Junior, you know, that's the side that really worries me for Scotland. We've got to block that off. But in saying that, look, as long as we defend better, give no stupid goals away. In fact, the goal against Morocco, that was a great finish. I'm not going to whinge and say, how can you lose a goal that early? It was a great finish. It was an offside decision. He pushed up when he shouldn't have done, and we got punished. After that, second half, we were great. I thought Christie came on and done well. And I thought the boy from Norwich done well. Kenny McLean, he came on and done well. So it's going to be an intriguing one. It's going to be, all eyes will be on the coach to see what he does and how he plays and what formation he plays.
I mean, another one is Gannon Doak, who's very popular with the fans. But you talk about Vinny Junior. I mean, maybe one way.
He looked good when he came.
Yeah.
In both games, he's looked good.
But he's great going forward, isn't he? Well, maybe you've got to do a defensive job.
Hello, I'm Matt Fordham from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Latest odds and offers. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
10 to 9 in the morning here in New York, 10 to 2 for you back home. Whatever the time, it's time to look ahead to the day with talkSPORT Bet and their ambassador, Ryan Douglas, who's enjoying life in New York with us.
I am.
I saw you briefly last night as we took in the England game. I think we're going to join up later for Scotland. We'll get to Scotland shortly, but Ryan, we're going to kick off with Cristiano Ronaldo, are we not? Martinez, Ronaldo. Have they just slapped back their critics?
They have, and he's back. He made sure he let us know that, didn't he? Straight down the barrel of the camera, I am back. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But as it stands right now, 2 games, 2 goals, 3 goals behind Messi already. But I've told you guys, I like to be the Iniesta. I like to be the Bruno Fernandes of betting and spot a bit of space in the market. That's what I like to do.
I love that.
So Cristiano Ronaldo right now, I don't know whether this is a step too far, but he's 20 to 1 to be the player of the tournament. Of course, that would have to go hand in hand with Portugal winning it. And they're 5th in the betting right now at 8 to 1. Is that a step too far, Crookie, at this point in his career for him to be a player of the tournament? What do you think?
I think you need to calm down and realise that they've only beaten Uzbekistan. If you've seen Messi's performance against a really well-drilled, well-organised Austrian team, that was a proper performance. I still think Ronaldo is some way below those levels. And I think the difference between the two teams is because Messi doesn't do any more running than Ronaldo. In fact, when they're out of possession, we spotted it a few times, he strolls back to the halfway line. But the rest of the outfield players do his work for him. I'm not sure that Martinez and Portugal have quite found a way to do that with Ronaldo yet.
Do you think Cristiano's been a bit premature, Simon? I'm back. And with all due respect, it was Uzbekistan.
It was interesting because 2 of the most vociferous observers on his performance was Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Thierry Henry. And the first thing that Zlatan turned around and said was, I didn't realise he'd gone anywhere. And I thought, you hypocritical sod. You were the guys that were the ones leading the charge.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's a top player. And at 41 years of age, he's a remarkable specimen. But going forward, you know, for Portugal, I was interested. I don't know if I'm being overly analytical. I didn't see him celebrate the 5th goal because there was an opportunity for him to get a hat-trick. I watched him celebrate the goal, but I didn't see him go and celebrate with his teammates because probably he was more interested in getting the 3rd goal for himself. I don't know what it tells you about him, but listen, He's an elite player. He'll make an impact. No doubt I'll have to listen to Piers Morgan telling everybody how right he was, because obviously he's a fully paid up member of his fan club. But when it gets into the tournament deeper, and you're playing against real opposition, with respect to the Uzbekistans, who were deeply upset by the performance themselves, weren't they? Because they were so upset by the manner that they got beat. But Portugal could have had 10. This is not I'm back moment. This is, we all know you're Ronaldo. We expect you to be at these standards, so we expect you to be able to score goals against Uzbekistan. Let's see you score goals against France or Spain, or dare I say, England.
Which is probably more than capable of doing.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
At the right time in the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you put him through and it's an open goal, then yes, maybe. But the space and the time and the quality of the opposition dictated some of the outcomes that he got. But still, the last thing that goes with a boxer is his punch. The last thing that's going to go with Ronaldo is his ability to score goals. But to get into a position to create those goals against better opposition, we will see.
In a word, Ryan, Scotland.
Yeah, I know. Big one. A big one today. It's one of the most exciting games of the group. I still maintain that, 30 years on from the previous clash, virtually.
Yeah.
So here we are. talkSPORT bet for the White and Jordan listeners. We've got a super boost. It's a goal to be in both halves. I'll leave it to your imagination where the goals might come from. It can be either team. It's gone from 13 to 20, so well and truly odds on, all the way to 5 to 4. So that is a super boost. So you're listening to White and Jordan now. You didn't realise talkSPORT had a bookies. It's talkSPORT bet. You download the app and you check that out, that super boost. I don't want to, pile onto you here, Jim. You know that Brazil are odds on. You know that already. What I want to do is forget that. You're a Scotland fan.
Yes.
What do you think will happen today? What's the score prediction going to be? What do you think?
What do I think will happen today, or what would I like to happen today? What I'd like to happen today would be, for the first time ever, Scotland beat Brazil at a World Cup final. That's what I'd like to happen. That's what I crave happens today. A draw. I'll go for a draw.
Yeah.
I'll be extremely ambitious, and I will suggest to the listeners on talkSPORT, to those watching on YouTube, it will be 1-1.
Oh, and I've got it in front of me at 17 to 2.
There we go, Ryan. I'll just make a note of that. As I put that down on a bit of paper, you can ask these two what they think.
What do you
think?
Him. What do you think, Crookie?
Well, first and foremost, exciting and Steve Clarke don't really go into the same sentence. I get your sentiment about the game. I think that the Scots are going to create quite the atmosphere. But it's damage limitation, because at the moment I think they're second in terms of the best third-place teams on 0 goal difference. What they can't afford to happen is to get really heavily beat and then suddenly drop down that table. My prediction before the tournament was that they beat Haiti unconvincingly, as they did, and they would still go out because they would concede too many goals in the other 2 games. So I think Brazil could win, and win handsomely.
Wow, that's what are we talking? 3-0, 4-0?
I'd say 3-0 would be.
Is it really damage limitation, Alex?
I think so.
Do you think?
Well, he's not going to attack the Brazilians, is he, Steve Clarke?
I mean, this isn't an all-time great Brazilian side, is it? The days of Zico gone.
But it's just not in his nature, is it, to go on the front foot?
Well, 6 to 1, you can get 3-0 out. I know Simon's not in the business of Scotland predictions unless it involves Scotland getting thumped. So I think we'll just make that assumption that you're hoping that will happen, Simon.
Yeah, not hoping. I mean, just listen to the background noise with the guys you have to work with. That's the reasons why you want them to get thumped. But I think the challenge for them is that if Brazil had won their first 2 games and cemented themselves in a situation where they were already qualified at the top of the group and they were done and dusted and home and hosed, you'd find a less of a motivated team. This is not a great Brazilian side.
No.
So with that in mind, but this is not a great Scottish side either. So with that in mind, I don't see Scotland getting pumped. I honestly don't, because I don't think they'll allow it, because I don't think they'll open up the game to such a level that they allow Brazil to do that to them, because it was always going to be, and not in this idealistic world of people's dream outcomes, they were always going to try and manage the games against Morocco and Brazil and damage limitate. That's what they were going to do. Their missed opportunity was that they didn't smash the Haitians, and I know it's not easy it's much easier to say it than do it, but 2 or 3 goals would have offset the damage that Brazil and Morocco could have done, and they could have gone into the third-place playoff or opportunity with perhaps an even neutral or very low negative goal difference. Now,
some people thought Morocco would run over Scotland, though, and they didn't.
No. I didn't think they would run over Scotland. I thought Scotland would get something out of the Moroccan game, but when Scotland conceded a goal in the first minute and a half, the whole dynamic of what Scotland might have been able to do was changed. And they can't do the same thing again, and it's sloppy. To concede a goal in the first minute of the game is sloppy, because you've changed the whole direction of what you were going to achieve.
Give me a scoreline.
I just, again, I hate to hear myself say it, I just think Scotland might get something out of this game. Oof. But if they don't start well and they allow the Brazilians to get ahead of steam up in terms of scoring a goal, then I think they could find themselves in a difficult position.
They've got to keep Mateus Cunha quiet. I thought he was terrific in Brazil's second game.
He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Ryan, we'll do it. 1-1.
1-1, 17-2.
Thank you so much, my friend. That was a look at latest. We'll talk more about Scotland throughout the show. That was a look at latest odds thanks to talkSPORT, Bet and Ryan. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Very, very disappointed. I know it can happen, and you know, if you're an England fan, you're used to this disappointment at every tournament at some stage. But I've got to tell you, mate, I'm going after one person. I'll tell you that person is in a second.
Who is it? I want to know.
Going after Tuchel, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah. I thought his team selection was wrong. I thought he changed it way too late. His changes, I thought, were too similar. I think you've got to mix it up. And I've seen Thomas Tuchel's teams, and I've seen him change game. We saw that against Croatia, against a low block like Ghana. I just want to give them some credit, by the way, because they deserve a huge amount of credit because of the way they played. But come on, is that it? Is that the best that we've got going forward in a low block like that? And I sat there, and we sat there and watched it. And I said to you, I'd keep the same team at halftime, and at 49 minutes and something like 48 seconds, I said to you, Joe, I've seen enough. I wanted to see something, and there was no urgency. And he left it until I've got the subs here.
Well, it was hydration break, wasn't it? Around that.
He made his first sub on 65, and I said to you in the break, I think he'll leave it somewhere about 60. After 50 minutes, I'm going, nope. If they've not listened to you, we're seeing the same old tripe.
Mm-hmm.
Same old tripe turned out, and he left it until 65 minutes. And it was too little, too late. Yeah, we had a rally at the end. You'd expect Ghana got something to hold on to. They're not going to break their shape. I thought they defensively were excellent.
How slow were we? Oh, mate, how slow were we? It was Southgate all over again. It was...
Life, liberty, and lashings of World Cup football. Official broadcaster of the FIFA World Cup 2026. talkSPORT. talkSPORT.
2 minutes past 2. Good afternoon. Ben Stokes has denied there's any rift between himself and Brendan McCullum.
We genuinely are very good mates. We've built a rapport and a relationship away from that, and we've been through, you know, some testing times. We've been through some great times. Do we agree on everything? Absolutely not. Do we have discussions around things? Absolutely.
But our cricket editor, John Norman, is somewhat unconvinced.
There sounds like there is stuff going on behind the scenes, which we are hearing little briefings or rumours about. I think there's still some part of this story that is still to be told publicly.
Either way, Stokes is back to captain England in their deciding test with New Zealand tomorrow at Trent Bridge following curfew gate. He says he's apologised to the team, and he and Gus Atkinson are focusing on cracking on. Meanwhile, Alan Pardew says Thomas Tuchel's England were fortunate to leave Boston with a point after Ezri Konsa's dodgy challenge in the box on Prince Kabuena Adu. Pardew thinks the absence of Cole Palmer from the squad is already being felt.
And he would have been the type of player that I personally would have had in the group for that equation that you had yesterday. When you were going into a World Cup tournament, You ain't just got one equation, you've got lots of equations to come.
England versus Panama is live on talkSPORT on Saturday at 9 p.m. Meanwhile, Neymar is fit again and could play for Brazil for the first time since 2023. Steve Clarke's called Neymar a modern superstar. Carlo Ancelotti's warned his players to beware of Scotland's high-quality team of fighters. Scotland versus Brazil is live on talkSPORT tonight from 11 p.m.
talkSPORT News.
More than 500 mothers and babies died or suffered potentially avoidable harm, according to a new report. And investigators say the driver in Friday's train crash passed a red signal moments before the collision near Bedford. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Temperatures in the high 30s in places, feeling humid as extreme heat builds across England and Wales. Northwest Scotland is cloudier and cooler with a bit of drizzle.
talkSPORT. Michael Jordan to America. It's big time from the Big Apple. That is huge. Licensed broadcaster of the FIFA World Cup 2026. North America. World Cup. White and Jordan. Live. World Trade Center, New York. On talkSPORT.
Good afternoon, UK. It is 4 minutes past 2 o'clock with you back in the United Kingdom. With us here in New York, it's just the back of 9 o'clock in the morning. We're getting used to the time difference, but it is a beautiful morning. And it's a beautiful view here from the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. The Statue of Liberty looking absolutely magnificent, as it always does. What a view we have here. What a spot we have here for this World Cup here. Live on talkSPORT. And later on today, Scotland go in against Brazil. What can Steve Clarke's side do? I hesitate to think, but I'd love to think they can do something. Here's the thing, though. All sorts of people in this part of the world have got their own perspective of this World Cup and how it is being covered. And before the tournament actually began, we were amongst many other media outlets who thought we might have to concentrate on an area like such as, I don't know, ice, such as the drinks breaks. What's that going to be like? Such as Donald Trump. Is he going to take over this tournament? How much are we going to see of the president? It's fair to say some aspects of that pre-tournament have not come about. I wonder what this fella thinks. He joins Simon, myself and Alex live in studio. New York Post sports reporter, former player for the New York Giants, of course, Brandon London, is with us as he was back in London.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend?
I mean, London and London, you guys in New York. I hope you're enjoying this view. It looks great on a postcard or a mug, but it looks absolutely better in person. And I just thank all the Europeans, all the people from across the world for coming in and bringing the vibes to the city. We had the Knicks win the championship.
Oh, yeah.
And now we have Hoga Benito here having a great time celebrating the beautiful game in the World Cup.
What about this view? You'll have been in here before. You can see your house in Jersey, I believe.
Yeah, my apartment. I hope I didn't leave the lights on or anything because that PSEG bill is going to run up. But, I've been here with SNY. With the New York Post, we had the collaboration there. Going to go downstairs, say hello to some cool people that I've met throughout the time here. But yeah, I'm used to this view, but you're used to it, but you can never get used to it, how breathtaking it is.
Some things that we thought might materialize, as I said in the introduction, Brandon, have not materialized. Like Trump, we haven't heard a cheep from him. Mind you, he's a busy man and he's got a lot on his plate. Who's to say that he'll pitch up? He's apparently going to be at the final. We'll see. ICE, those officers getting a hold of people in the street, sometimes very unseemly pictures coming out of the US. Haven't seen any evidence of them around at all. So far, should we be surprised at the absence of certain aspects of American life that we thought we'd be seeing?
No, I think that was more to deter people. I think that was more to try and let people know on who they didn't want to come into the country. Because when you think of FIFA, you can never, and just like the NFL, you can never have any sort of terroristic event happening at their venues, at their events. You're always trying to deter that from happening. So are they in there? They could be undercover, but I think it's sort of like a stand by and stand down type thing unless something happens. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't have that. You can't ruin a World Cup on home soil here. I mean, we've been waiting for this since 1994. When you talk about the people who just want to celebrate, again, Joga Bonito. And I thank you guys, the Europeans, the South Americans, because you guys just came in from the Norwegians, rowing, from the Ghanaians, dancing in the street. If you're that casual American football, soccer fan, you may not know nothing about a draw between England and Ghana. But when they take over Times Square and they're rowing and you see the things circulating on social media about fan bases from all over coming together, you have to get involved. You have to wake up and go to a pub or a bar and watch some of these matches.
What about the US fans? Because we were at a watch party in Dallas for the first game, which was obviously a brilliant performance, particularly in the first half, from the US men's national team. A lot of the locals left at half-time, which struck us as odd.
I mean, if you're seeing a blowout, then they're probably trying to go down in Dallas, trying to get some barbecue and a beer, you know. But I think now they're going to start sticking around because you're realizing America, we're all about the trends. The Americans are all about the trends. What's the new dance? What's the new song? What's the new TikTok? Now, the U.S. men's national team has put everyone on notice and has rallied a lot of people. And I think now the casuals are starting to get on board. And it's kind of still like that wait and see type thing. It's like with the Knicks during the playoffs. You're waiting for something to happen because they hadn't won the championship in 53 years. Yeah, something bad to happen. But now you got a lot of people that's kind of rallied behind Fuller and Balogun from, former Arsenal guy. You've got Antonio Freeman's son. You've got Christian Pulisic, who we're hoping is going to be back healthy and be able to be a part of this run. I think you got a lot of that. What they've done in these past two matches, I think they've woke up a lot of the casuals. And now I think you try and see us try and match an England's energy, a Colombia's energy, a Norway's energy when it comes to the fan base.
I think it's a fair question to ask then, Simon. Has this World Cup defied the pre-tournament narrative?
Or has it illustrated the pre-tournament narrative was uninformed? The idea that we were going to walk into some awful martial state where people were being frog marched off the terraces of football stadiums was a narrative that was being seeded in people's ridiculousness of it's a slippery slope. So I think, at the time, I think I said, I doubt we'll see it. Quite frankly, I'd like to go to a place where things are very secure and people know who they're sitting next to and we don't have issues with people that are behaving in a certain way. I never felt that we're going to see Trump. Of course we're going to see Trump. We're going to see Trump at the World Cup final. We know we're going to see Trump and people are going to make of it what they do. We've already discussed it.
Hand over the trophy.
Well, so it's been done before. It was done by Nelson Mandela. It was done by the Queen. He's the head of state, whatever you think of him. He's the president. He's not only the president, he's the head of state. So it has precedence. And those that don't like Trump will make a song and dance out of it and turn it into something more than just the head of state doing what other head of states have done previously. So what I am pleased about is that the Americans have done well, because I think that any host nation in a World Cup doing well adds to the feel of the tournament. Yeah. How far that continues for is a different discussion.
You'll be delighted, I was in London,
Brandon.
you didn't give us a chance. When I was in London, you didn't give us a chance. And now England is feeling a bigger pressure
to win the
than
competition.
America is right now.
To win the competition.
I mean, just anything. Our chances are just as good as England
I don't
now.
give you a chance to win a competition and no grown-up talking about football would. But the fact of the matter is I gave you a chance to get out of your group.
Yeah.
So you've got that. You've done your job, and you will do your job. And it would be interesting to see, because Pochettino wasn't brought in to fail at the first hurdle. No. You've taken an elite European coach. You've got some decent players in your team. But to make an argument for the Americans to win the competition would be silly. But for them to go past the qualifying stages and to get into group stages and get into some knockouts and maybe get some favourable teams and to go further, I think is a good thing for the tournament, a good thing for the US, and a good thing for US soccer, and a good thing for soccer full stop. There's North American sports, and a North American embracing of the global game is actually good for the global game.
Yeah, and I think you chuck Canada and Mexico into the mix as well. All host nations done quite well so far, but there are still cost concerns, Jim. We can't glaze over them. You know, I was with fans who were hoping to get tickets to that Argentina game in Dallas, and they were $2,000 on the day of the game. Obviously, they couldn't afford to pay it. We stayed at a hotel in Houston, which usually would offer free parking for residents. You had to pay $125 to park on a match day.
So is that an American thing, but is that a FIFA thing? Like, who do you take your beef up with on that?
Well, it's been led by FIFA.
Okay, all right, okay, good.
Yeah, the MetLife Stadium,
and the
Brandon.
cost of stuff inside stadiums as well.
Is the MetLife fit for a World Cup final?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We just shot with the New York Post. We did a shoot at Norway, Senegal, where I went to Penn Station and we paid the $96 to get there. It was about an hour, 20 minutes, which for a Giants game, anybody going to a Jets game, but for a Giants game, it would be a little bit shorter. But we're talking about 80,000 people trying to get to this stadium. So one thing I will say, I think FIFA has done a great job when it came to dispelling what people were worried about when it came to the transit there. You're worried about these. You're still going to get the long lines, but everything was still moving.
Like, again, what about the cost? The cost has been hiked up.
But that's FIFA, supply and demand. You know, if there's anything.
I thought it was a hideous experience going to the MetLife.
Really?
I thought it was a hideous experience and not one I'd care to repeat. Now, obviously, the Qatar World Cup has a different dynamic, so it's unfair to compare it to that. But we were in Germany. And we saw the footprint of going to a football stadium. We are a country that's ostensibly seeded in football as a national sport, so we know what stadiums from filled to 60,000, 70,000 looks like. Walking onto the footprint of the MetLife and getting out of that footprint and taking the best part of an hour to come out of the footprint was hideous. And so the idea that you guys have got it right in terms of being able to get people in and out of that stadium, you might have got the transit right because New Jersey have put the prices up, and so they should to some extent because they're not there to subsidise a World Cup. But the idea that that is something that was enjoyable and reflective of an elite competition, I don't know, Jim, you were there, mate.
You got to keep in mind.
It took us a while, Brandon.
You're talking about in Germany and Qatar. You're talking about football stadiums. MetLife Stadium is an American football stadium. But they ripped out. There's no parking lots for people to drive in. We don't take transit that much.
And neither is there parking lots. And neither is there parking lots around football stadiums in Europe or in Qatar. That's not the point. The point was that getting off the footprint and being able to get out of the stadium, being able to get to where you wanted to go to, was hideous.
Yeah. But it's a lot easier when you don't have everyone being funneled into shuttle buses and subway carts or trains where you can just walk out to your car. You can walk out to these buses in the parking lot because you're paying for sections for parking to tailgate. Mind you, they took out all the tailgating opportunities. So instead of people just hopping in their car, hopping on Route 3, getting on 120 to get out of there, or the I-95 on the turnpike, now you have all these people being funneled into the trains.
I must admit, Brandon, I went to, Simon's got a point, that was Brazil-Morocco we were at, Simon, wasn't it? The same thing happened when I went back to France-Senegal. You know that over-the-road bridge that people walk in, Brandon, getting to
from the
stadium,
American dream.
And it literally is a bottleneck. And there was quite a crush. But the problem was there were so many mums and kids. I might have shot that, actually. Is that what? Yeah, that's what I shot the other day on my phone, if you're watching live on YouTube. So if you think they're just in front of me, Brandon, and that's an hour to kick off, and then I swung round and looked at what was behind, and those behind are beginning to get a bit antsy. Listen, I know we're putting this to you. It was never going to be perfect. How could it be on something of a scale of this nature? But Simon's got a point. There were moments of, gee, what's going on here? Yeah. What is going on here? It was a bit of a kind of, hang on a second. And one or two people did feel somewhat unsafe.
There should have been more entry exit points for people to get in and out of. Okay,
not that I'm nitpicking. What about the playing surface at the MetLife? Is it good enough?
For American football, I'm not supposed to say this. No, people hate playing on the turf at MetLife Stadium. But from what I saw from the match, grass, we welcome grass for Jets and Giants games there. So that was, you're not going to get me on that one because I'm the Giants in-game MC at the MetLife Stadium.
I thought I had him in that one. Brandon, we'll take time out for a second. We're live from New York. During this commercial break, I'll try and work out one of the two other things that have irritated me that I'll put to Brandon. No, I won't. It's a wonderful tournament, and the hosts are doing a great job at this particular time. It's not all good. Iran have run into a few problems, although we now hear that the US has eased restrictions on Iran's squad, Brandon, by allowing them to travel into the country 2 days before their game against Mo Salah's Egypt. We'll get back to that in a second. We're live in New York City with Tool Station. Stay with us.
everyone gets him wrong. The thing about Cristiano is it's incredible to me. And I feel it as a great honour that I have become a good friend of him. I love the guy. He's a great, great guy. We talk all the time. But you know, it's a weird thing for me. We became friends because he liked my crime documentaries I did for ITV. Yeah. That's how he messaged me out of the blue, and that was how it started. But we become good friends. And the thing about Ronaldo, I just find incredible. He still gets unbelievably emotional when he scores a goal or wins a game or loses a game or misses a penalty, whatever it may be. To do that at 41 when you're a billionaire, and you've done everything in the game, it shows you that all that matters to him is football.
It shows you that you're playing against Uzbekistan. In the last Euros 2024, he didn't score one goal.
So
I thought we lost you there. You went really quiet for a minute, Piers. What happened there?
Well, I didn't get really quiet. I
thought the line dropped.
Harry Kane had a poor game last night. Why aren't you pelting him like you would Ronaldo?
Well, no, we're just talking about Ronaldo. I'm not talking about Harry Kane.
No, of course you're not. You're not talking about Harry Kane because you like Harry Kane.
Why are you picking on Harry Kane? Why are you picking on Harry Kane? I thought you were English.
Because I think he had a poor game last night, the whole team. But where's the great inquest into, has Harry Kane lost it? Is he a has-been? Is he? No one's going to have that conversation because his goal records shows that he is a brilliant striker.
Not the Euros.
Ronaldo's goal record under Martinez that you've just said.
None.
That goal record under Martinez is unbelievable.
Do you think
you should be lauding him as the best finisher in the world?
Piers. Qualifies. Put him in a big tournament.
After he scored that
He's
goal,
in a big tournament. He just scored 2 goals.
Piers,
what are you talking about, man?
After he scored that first goal to the cameras, he says, "I'm back.
Yeah.
People haven't liked that because they say Messi would never do that.
Oh, so what? I love the fact that Ronaldo makes his critics eat crow every single time. Right, the whole of social media for 4 days was reveling in the downfall of Cristiano. Let's be honest, they were. Yeah. Everyone was willing him to fail. They wanted him to be
Piers,
humiliated.
England-Portugal final of the World Cup goes to pens, and Ronaldo scores the winner. Do you celebrate? Do you fist pump?
No.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
talkSPORT Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Yeah, time now for a big match build-up with Village Hotels. If you're watching live on YouTube, that is indeed the MetLife. Been there a couple of times at these World Cup finals, and it is quite an experience getting in and out of there nonetheless. I'm delighted that in studio with us is New York Post sports reporter Brandon London alongside Alex Simon and myself. So what we know is Mexico and the USA are through. Here's the thing. Will Canada join what would be a bit of a co-host party, if you like? Jesse Marsh, in charge of Canada, one time in charge of Leeds United. He knows what his Canada have got to do to join the other co-hosts.
This is still about creating a movement in this country, about this sport, about these players, about this team. This is different than, you know, what people may perceive in Europe or down in the States or Mexico or South America. We're at a different stage of where we are in the sport in this country, and everything that Kevin Blue, Peter Agruso, and I are working toward is building a foundation for the sport for the future. Everything for the youth national teams to residencies, men's and women's team aligned, opportunity for young coaches, young players, young analysts, everything. Like, we want to make this a footballing nation, right? A soccer nation. Right, a soccer nation.
Jesse Marsh there. Brandon, in terms of media coverage, has Canada as a co-host been, I don't know, like something of an ugly duckling compared to the USA and Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing sexy about them, you know? Like, outside, you beat up on Qatar, you know, like you drew against Bosnia, Herzegovina. Like, they had the opportunity, like El Tri, like Mexico, and in America, to come out and build some sort of steam. But you drew against Bosnia and Herzegovina, who they're not weak at all. But you always want, like here in the North Americas, it's all about that initial, that first impression. You know, you never get a first impression again. And I just thought Canada was very boring. So by the time you got to that, 7 goal performance against Qatar, it was just like, who cares? Let's move on and watch Real Housewives of something else on TV.
Is that not Virginia-born Brandon London having a swipe at Canada?
Well, no, because I played in the CFL. I love Montreal. Shout out to the Montreal Alouettes. I don't want my passport to be denied when I go up there this summer. But it was just, again, when we're talking about football, like soccer, football here, you got to get it right, because America and Canada are behind when it comes to football culture, when it comes to Mexico. Mexico already has that built-in football culture.
I think you're being a bit harsh. I don't think they've been that bad, Canada. I think Kyle Larin, who we know from Southampton, has really taken the tournament by storm. Yes, it was only Qatar, but they obviously walloped them. So, yeah, I think you're being a bit unfair.
But you're speaking from a proper football culture on the X's and O's. They haven't been bad on the pitch. They've just been boring. So that first match was boring, and with that, turned the casuals.
I didn't think it was that boring.
It turned the casuals off. But
do you find Canadians boring?
Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
well, let's establish that. Do Canada, Simon, overcome Switzerland? I'm just trying to think that matchup. I'm not so sure that they do.
Do they have to achieve the outcome?
They play in Vancouver today.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse Marsh is an interesting character, because the noise about Canada's made more off the field. He had a swipe at the Americans about the forcing of the players to sing the national anthem back in the day, because he has an axe to grind. He thinks he should have gotten the American job, and he didn't get it, and he got rowed over, and he felt that he had it in the bag and then got marginalised out of the equation. Of course, you've had the situation where the Canadians have denied Thomas Partey his visa for more detailed reasons than the media reporting, because he didn't fill in his form properly. So there's some legitimacy behind it, not just the accusation of innocent until proven guilty. Marsh is an interesting character, isn't he? I mean, I did that interview with him a couple of years ago, detailed interview about his shortcomings and failings and how he looks at the world. I don't think they need to beat Switzerland this evening. It's interesting to see how the Canadians will relate to it, but I think, having got the results they've got, I think people thought that the result against Bosnia was a credible performance for Canada. They've gone and smashed the Qatarians, which they should do. The Qataris, because they're a minnow of a nation.
I like Qatarians.
I made that word up, didn't I?
You say Qatarians, I say
That's a proper malaprop, isn't it?
No, it's all right.
Qataris, right?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I think Jesse Marsh probably has currency in his own football federation.
Sure.
But he may well be also right, because you only get one opportunity to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And the first impression for Canada of the global audience, or the American audience watching it, and the American audience will also look at Canada as a riding on the coattails of the American World Cup.
I'm determined to hear Brandon on the US, but in the meantime, for a chance to win a Village Hotel VIP experience for the World Cup final at a Village Hotel near you, head to talksport.com/competitions.
talkSPORT's Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
The US take on Turkey this Friday. They have surprised a few people. I've been surprised at how so many USA fans are now really invested in this World Cup, and they think the USA can go far. How far can they go then?
I think at least the quarterfinals. You know, Posh said semifinals and bust. I'm like, pump your brakes there a little bit, Posh. But I think it's quarterfinals, and I would love to see England, USA, in the quarterfinals, because that will tell us where we are at, where we are. That's like that measuring point that you want to get to. You have three Lions. That's one of the most respected teams in this World Cup. Not playing up to their, I guess we can all agree they're not playing up to their ability right now.
Yeah.
Harry Kane had those two phenomenal goals in the first half of that first match. We haven't seen him yet. We had a chance to bury one last night.
Could the US side beat England?
It's tournament. It's a tournament. It's just there's always upsets. It's always upsets. As a former professional athlete, if you put me on that field, that pitch, that court that day, I'm not going to walk in there and be like, okay, they've got Harry Kane, they've got Jude Bellingham, they can beat us. I'm going to walk out there and be like, they've got Harry Kane. They've got Jude Bellingham.
Sound like...
I'm going to give you the top of my game. And Fola Bellingham, he's played against these guys. Christian Pulisic won a Champions League with Thomas Tuchel before. So you've got a lot of guys. Weston McKennie plays for Juventus. Tyler Adams has played in the Premier League. You've got a lot of guys that feel like they would be able to match up on home soil against England. I wouldn't bet anything on it. But at the end of the day, I would love to see that.
For risk of English arrogance, it would be a national disaster if we got knocked out by the USA.
I mean, that's sports. That's why we talk sport.
Would it be a national disaster?
Yeah, it would be a big disappointment. I mean, they were very good against us in Qatar.
You and I were there.
And they were the better side. They just didn't have a cutting edge.
Yeah.
Now, we must not get carried away. They played against the Paraguayans, who were poor.
Yeah.
They played against the Australians, who were poor.
Yeah.
I
think
they're
going to play against a poor Turkey side as well.
Yeah, indeed. I think if the USA beat any of the bigger nations, it's a measuring point, not just the English. If they beat a top nation in this World Cup, it's a measuring point rather than just England.
Okay. Brandon, get back over to that lovely apartment in Jersey, mate.
I'm hosting at Sports Illustrated Stadium for today's Brazil-Scotland match. And then, Brazil... Is it Brazil-Scotland?
Today?
Brazil-Scotland, and then Mexico-Czechia. So I'm the host, I'm the MC of that. There's going to be, the Brazilian fans.
Brilliant.
They look great on the cutaways on TV. Yeah. They look even better in person.
Fabulous. So, but Brandon, London, we loved having you on board here. We said we'd meet again in the US when we met up in London, and we've done it. Brandon, New York Post sports reporter, former Giants star as well. Thrilled you've been with us. It's 2:30 at home. It is 9:30 in the morning, really, here in New York.
You would have played with Rashford and against him, Jack. Why isn't he starting? Why is he getting brought on 83rd minute? Because I like Gordon, but Rashford is in a different league for me.
Yeah, I think with wingers, right? Wingers, I always think is such a difficult position because one game you can be the best player, and then another game it don't quite work out for you. You miss 1v1, you lose the ball a couple of times because they take so many risks. You want your wingers to take risks, and I feel like I agree with you, Gabby. I feel like Rashford has spent a year at Barcelona where their wingers over the years and the way they coach them and the detail they give them. Like they're top level, and I think he's had a top season. I think, he's probably one we might see in the next game. I think 83rd minute was probably too late for him. Like again, someone who dribbles, he gets at players. Anthony Gordon can do that, but I feel like if you can see that it's not working, like change the wingers. That's one thing that you can do, and it's relatively risk free in terms of like avoiding transition and stuff. And probably waited too long for that.
Jack, what type of England fan are you? Having played, of course, at the highest level for England, when you watch us at major tournaments, are you like me and most fans where 1 minute you think we're going to win the World Cup and the next you think the manager should get the sack?
No. You know what? I'll be honest. Gareth Southgate left me out of 2018. So when he was in charge, of course, I wanted England to win, but there was always that little bit of anger in me. So this is actually probably the first one where I'm like a proper fan. And no, I think, I was talking to someone last night and they were asking me who do you think's favourites, and I don't think like right now, like it doesn't really matter who's doing well, who's not doing well. I think Argentina lost their first game when they won it last time, and this tournament's a little bit longer as well. So I don't know, I'm relaxed, maybe a little bit too relaxed, and I think we will come good. But we got a game on Saturday where like we can play probably to 80% of what we can do and win the game. So yeah, we need to build our momentum, and I still think we'll be there. I do.
Yeah.
We all know that in history, Pele's a GOAT. He's won the World Cup 3 times, the only man to have done so. But let me tell you about the one he didn't win, and that made him quit World Cups for good. Ahead of the 1966 World Cup in England, Brazil were favourites again. They won in both 58 and 62, meaning a historic three-peat was on. But their opponents all had plans to stop Pele. Bulgaria set a trend in the first group game. The instruction? Take Brazil's main man out of the game. Pele came away so battered and bruised he couldn't even take part in Brazil's next match against Hungary, which they lost. He returned for the next one against Portugal, but they channeled their inner Bulgaria. This is one of numerous brutal challenges throughout the 90s. Remember, this was pre-substitution, so Pele had to hobble on before being carried off at the end. It's even tough to look at now. Brazil lost and were out in the group stage. Speaking years later, Pele still had sore memories. At the time, he said he'd never play at the World Cup again. FIFA responded by introducing subs and red and yellow cards. Pele did come back in 1970 as part of the greatest team in World Cup history.
My view. We're live in New York. That's my view from here on the 50th floor of the World Trade Center, and it's quite a view. Amazing. What a setting we have here at this particular viewpoint here in this wonderful city. It is fabulous, and it's another great day here in New York. It'll be an even better day if Scotland can get something out of the game against Brazil later on. Not here, but in Miami. And this fella has been to see Scotland at this World Cup. I first met him 40 years ago at the World Cup in Mexico in 1986. Legendary rock star Sir Rod Stewart joins us live, not here in the US, but back in the UK. Sir Rod, good to have you on board.
Humble home.
Back in your humble home. So tell me, you were out here and you saw Scotland. What was that experience like?
Very Americanized. Everything's very Americanized, as you can imagine, because it's in America. As far as the team go, I thought we had a pretty good second half, poor first half. But, you know, it's going to be so difficult tonight, Jim. Do we go with 2 up front, go for it, or we do defend, or what? I don't know.
Well, Sir Rod, I think you do know. I mean, obviously, you're a rock and roll star, but Steve Clarke's football is hardly rock and roll. There's no way that he goes toe-to-toe with the Brazilians. It's going to be sit deep, damage limitation, and try and avoid a battering and hope that'll be enough to get through in third place, won't it?
Yeah, you're right. It's the odds are against us. We all know that. I'll tell you one thing, my friend. We have the greatest supporters in the world. No doubt about it. They've made Scotland proud.
What do you think about some of the things you're hearing, Rod, about the Tartan Army? Drinking Boston Dry, yes, but making donations in the thousands of US dollars to hospitals and what have you out in this part of the world. I mean, they're magnificent.
Yeah, you were so proud. I love the fact they drank Boston Dry and the England supporters got there and there was no beer. I love that one.
am I right in back in Mexico in '86? You were based in LA. I think I remember you saying to me, and you flew in and flew back for the Denmark game. You flew in and back for West Germany. Flew in and back for Uruguay.
Yeah, yeah. So I've 7 World Cups I've been to now, Jim. So the one thing I want to see them do is get into the second round. Hopefully tonight. I mean, it was a really hard draw. We were drawn against 2 teams in the top 10, you know, Morocco and Brazil. Unlike England.
Well, there you go. I mean, England are saying, or I've heard in some quarters, Simon, it's been a tough draw for England. But has it really been? I mean, Ghana gave you problems last night.
Yeah, not relative.
But Croatia are Croatia, and you won 4-2.
Yeah.
And now you get Panama.
Yeah, not relative to the standings. I mean, Rod's right. I mean, the group that Scotland have been drawn in, comparative to where Scotland are in the scale of world football and where England are, is a much more difficult group. Combined with that is the expectation on the England team, which balances it off. But you're big players. You're expected to overcome adversity. It's interesting. I can't make a case for Thomas Tuchel's observation to keep on being that we're in a difficult group. Either we don't read the room as well as others do, or he knows something that we don't. But the interesting thing is that the Scottish fans, I mean, I was up, as I said to you on the weekend, I was up in Rhode Island, walked into my friend's front room. To my horror, they're all sitting around on a sofa, watching the Scotland game, telling me how wonderful the Scottish fans are. And I'm scratching my head, and they've taken to them. They're like, it's because of the Scot, and my friend's wife is sitting, it's because of the Scottish fans. I said, but they're a bunch of grotty jocks. No. It's because they're wonderful fans. We love them. Okay, fair enough. So they have made an impression, absolutely.
But even back in Mexico '86, Rod, they're wonderful. And then, of course, more recently, France '98. And we played Brazil that day. I think it was a Tom Boyd own goal. And Brazil beat Scotland 2-1. So no one should necessarily think that we're going to get in the wrong end of a hiding tonight. Should they?
Well, you could be right, you know. But look at Ghana last night. Everybody expected England to go and beat them easily. But they didn't. I mean, I think if there's one thing I want to see, is a little bit more positivity on the ball. You know, just hold on to it. Don't treat it like it's a bomb. No, don't give it to me. Shove it over there. And a little less going sideways. A lot of these nations, when you think, Jim, you know, either England or Scotland, but the British taught the world the game. A lot of these minute nations are teaching us things.
Yeah, like Cape Verde, for example. You're right.
Oh
do you think some of the criticism levelled at Steve Clarke has been fair or unfair, Rod?
Totally unfair. You know, let's be honest, we're limited with the skill of our players, and we have to make the most of what we've got. And I think he's done a great job. And as far as I know, I think he's staying on.
Well, yeah, he's signed a contract. But I mean, if the worst was to happen and you crashed out of the group tonight, and it would probably take a heavy defeat for that to happen, could the Scottish FA regret that? Might they have gone too early with that new contract?
I don't think so, no. Let's wait until after the event. In fact, I can't think of anybody who would take his place. You know, I think he's done a pretty good job. Maybe Gordon Strachan would like the job back.
Not sure he would. Look, I hope, and I'm with all sarcasm to one side, I just want the Scots to give themselves a chance in this game, because when I was on the train going up to Boston, I'm listening to the Scottish game and thinking, 1 minute in, you've conceded a goal. I want, if the Brazilians are going to beat them, I want them to have to beat them because Scotland have made it as difficult as they possibly can. If the Ghanaians can Ghanaians can shut out England and be disciplined and control the opportunities at England, and the Scots can do the same to Brazil, because irrespective of Brazil's reputation, this is not a great Brazilian side.
Right. Have a listen to this, Rod. This was Steve Clarke when he was asked if Scotland maybe need to be somewhat more cautious against an opponent like Brazil.
I don't know what to say, because I've got the Scottish media here and they kill me for being too conservative. I think we've shown in my time in charge, whether some people agree or not, that we can be very flexible with our system. We used the 5-3-2 or the 5-4-1 system to a good effect before. This time we've been concentrating mainly on the back four. But for the game tomorrow, you have to wait and see, because I don't want to tell Carlo what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's Carlo Ancelotti in charge of Brazil, Rod. What would you like to see, mate? In an ideal world, what do you hope to see from the Scots?
Be a bit careful, maybe. As I said, I just find them not wanting the ball as much as I would like them to. You know, give me the ball, let me do something with it. Some of them seem a little frightened of having the ball. Can't have any of that tonight. Everybody's got to want the ball and go forward instead of backwards and sideways. It seems a trait in British football. Do you think, Simon? Backwards and sideways. When you see a lot of these nations, they get the ball, they just go gung-ho.
But it's about creative players, Rod, isn't it? There's a big argument in England about we've got wonderful midfield players, but who's got this Pirlo? Who's got this boy that can get on a ball and damage them? And I don't think the Scots have got that. So whilst you want offensive play and you want ambitious play, if all the people that are shouting for Steve to be bold will be the same people that scream at him if they get beat 4-0.
That's right.
The job is to get through this group. If it's third space, and you can do it by getting beat 1-0, 1-0. And the only game I would criticise you for, Rod, is I wanted you to beat the Haitians 3 or 4-0. So you set yourself up in a situation where if you lose to both Brazil and Mexico, your goal difference doesn't hurt you.
Yeah. Wasn't to be, We hit the post. Do you think we should have had a penalty? The other night?
Against Morocco.
McTominay one, was it, went down?
McTominay or McGinn?
I think it's a reasonable shout.
I'm not sure, but John McGinn looked obvious penalty to me.
Yeah. Rod, what's it going to mean to Scotland if we can get out of this group?
Celebrations. Celebrations. I think if we get out of the group, we may have to play Germany. Well, that's easy. We'll beat them.
Listen, before you leave us, and I'm so glad to see you. You're live on Zoom, and you're looking very healthy, very well. But then I read some things that were you okay in your recent performances? You took time out on a couple of occasions just to.
No, I got an awful. I really shouldn't have gone to the Haiti game. I had to cancel a show the night before because I just had no voice left. But the truth is, Jim, I wasn't going to let my two sons down. I promised them since they were born they were going to go to a World Cup, and this is the first one that's come about. And it wasn't a good look, I admit, but I'm going to have to just take the stick because I did it for the boys.
Well done. Give me a score prediction tonight.
1-1.
There you go. Terrific. We would take that in a heartbeat. Rod, thank you so much for taking time out to join us.
Cheers, guy. Simon, you're looking good, baby. For now, guys.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks very much indeed. And of course, it's just so you remember, it's 11 o'clock tonight. It's one of the later kickoffs, and it's live on talkSPORT.
For me, he got his tactics wrong. He got the starting 11 wrong. How Jed Spence is starting over Nico Riley, I'll never know.
It was a painful watch.
How Anthony Gordon starts on that left, I'll never know. Yep. How Noni Madueke wears an England shirt, I'll never, ever know. The tactics were completely wrong. Just everything. I mean, Anthony Gordon out left. If Barcelona are watching that and they've signed that cheque for £70 million, part of that fault was the fact that Jed Spence gave him the ball so late that when he got the ball, there was 3 players around him, right? So there's hardly anything he could do but make space. Madueke on the other side, my goodness, how many times did he get the ball out wide and he had room to run at the defender and runs about 3 yards, stops, turns and passes the ball back.
Yeah. And he did it a couple of times where he ran in behind and then got a crossing and you're like, okay, then keep doing it. Then he stopped doing it. And you just seen a quality shift when Saka come on.
Yeah, totally. But Saka's obviously not fit, right?
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford, obviously not fit, is what I'm hearing.
I think Rashford is.
Well, I'm hearing he's got a little niggle. That's why he only came on for like 15 minutes or something. Yeah. But then you look at the right back. I like Reece James. I think he's an excellent player. But that game, for me, was crying out for Trent.
Yeah, it was
if you need anyone on the right fullback position to whip crosses in, it was Trent. And it also, sorry, Gabs, it also underlined for me that when you've got a team that play in the way they do with 10 behind the ball in a low block and you need someone to unlock their defence, Cole Palmer, I mean, my goodness.
Yeah. It was a game for Palmer.
Of course it was. I mean, it's just, honestly, the manager leading up to this competition, like all England managers, they get me excited. I come on national radio, I say we're going to win the World Cup. I see guff like that, and then I thought
as well. Look, you look at the game last night. You say, okay, you've got a cheerleader on the bench in Henderson who's there for vibes when you could have had a player.
Hello, I'm Matt Fordham from talkSPORT. This is how to win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Wow, Wednesday, June the 24th, and it's another cracking day here in New York. Having said that, we had quite a bit of rain here yesterday and mist. We couldn't see out this window up here on the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. We can today, and if you're watching live on YouTube, that is a sight, absolutely magnificent, looking out over this great city. We're talking, of course, about the many sporting events that take place in this part of the world. We will be hearing from Boots Ennis, terrific boxer. Simon, you're well aware of Boots. He's fighting down in Brooklyn at the weekend. We had a chat with him yesterday. We'll bring that to air shortly. Of course, the World Cup is ongoing. Scotland play Brazil later on. But here's the thing. The very best from the sport of darts have arrived right here in New York City to compete in the US Darts Masters. Luke Humphreys won the tournament last year. He beat Nathan Aspinall in the final at Madison Square Garden. And Cool Hand will return to defend his crown this year. But darts in this part of the world, how does that go down? Professional darts player, and he's a popular one at that, Stephen Bunting, joins us live in studio. Stephen, hi to you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You know Mr. Crook, and you certainly know Simon.
Yeah.
What about this view, incidentally? You were gobsmacked when you walked into the studio, weren't you?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable view. We don't get views like this in Merseyside, and yeah, to see a nice blue sky as well, it's a great day.
Fantastic. Actually, we'll talk about the darts in a moment. Liverpudlian, are you a big England fan?
Yeah, I like watching the England games when I can. Obviously, I'm a massive Liverpool fan as well. I go to the games when I can. But it's just nice to be over here. Obviously, a lot of England fans out here as well, and yeah, hopefully taking some of the atmospheres.
I seem to remember when we had you on in Newcastle at the launch of the Premier League darts, I tried to push you on a slot on whether you wanted to change the manager. You didn't really give me an answer. He's gone now. Iriola is in. Are you happy with that?
Really happy. Yeah, I sort of bit my lip at that question at the time, but yeah, I think we needed a manager who plays attacking football. He certainly does that, and yeah. To play into the sort of hands of like Wirt and Rio Wengamauer, who didn't really get much of a chance on the slot. I think it's a fresh start was needed.
So over here for the darts, Luke Littler, Van Veen, Gerwyn Price, Johnny Clayton, yourself, Josh Rock. This is a big deal, isn't it? Is it a big deal to you guys? And what is the atmosphere like? Do Americans buy into darts?
They certainly did last year. It was great to be a part of it last year, and obviously to play in MSG is a dream come true, to be honest, and such an iconic venue. The walk-on was a bit strange. It was a bit of a zigzaggy walk-on, and there's no barriers, so it's a bit different than the UK. But yeah, we all enjoyed it as players, and yeah, the crowd certainly got behind it.
How did the crowd compare to those who gathered to watch you back home?
Yeah, I think pretty similar, to be honest. They were all bouncing up and down when the 180s were going in, the doubles and stuff, which is great. And yeah, that's what we like to see. I think it's so important that we get to show our skills across the globe. And yeah, to come to New York City, one of the best cities in the world, it's amazing for us as players as well.
I would have thought, Simon, that the Americans will love it. for the simple reason there are winners and losers in darts.
It's a great sport. I mean, I grew up in the era of Eric Bristow and John Lowe and Jockey Wilson, and obviously that famous Keith Deller win over Bristow back in the day. And you look at the great characters there, and you look at it being on terrestrial broadcasting and the numbers that it used to get when it was on the BBC. And then you go to the Phil Taylor era of domination. And then you go to the situation where Sky and the Hearns have catapulted it into a sport that actually gets so much attention now. So I think it's a genuine sport. I think the sport's a fabulous sport, and I think it will translate. You know, obviously there's cultural differences and whether it will work in the Middle East, because a big part of it is the bonhomie, is the drinking amongst the auditorium, and that won't possibly translate in the Middle East. But it's a great sport, and you know, I keep talking about what I did in Basel. I did an interview with James Wade, who was a fascinating character, talking about the psychological side of darts and what that brings out to bear. Because any individual sport, when you're standing up there and the only person that you're responsible for, or responsible to the outcomes is yourself, under that kind of pressure, you're competing against yourself to some extent, as much as you are against the opponent, requires really strong minds, and it's much underestimated. People say, oh, you know, is it a sport? I think it's definitely categorically a sport.
Actually, Stephen, let's pick up on exactly what Simon was describing there. Tell me about the pressure when you walk up there. I often think the walk on, there's a bit of nonsense and a bit of fun with the crowd and all that. But then you've totally got to refocus before you throw your first dart.
Yeah, the walk on now is so important. Obviously, that gets the crowd up on the feet, singing the walk on song, getting them behind you. And then you get on stage, you've got to recompose yourself and then start playing darts. And like you've just alluded to there, it's a very mental game. When you're up there, there's only you that can control everything that goes on. You can't control how your opponent's going to play. And you've just got to basically, I've been to see hypnotists and sports psychologists to try and get the best out of my game and get that extra % to be able to compete with these guys.
How high is the standard now? I mean, Simon was talking about some of the legends that he watched. Obviously, I grew up with the great Phil Taylor. You look at what the two Lukes are doing in particular, and I focus on Littler. Does he have the ability to surpass what Phil Taylor achieved? Because he's already achieved so much at such a young age.
I personally don't think he'll win 16 world titles. I think the standard of player now is a lot better and there's a lot more better players about. But he'll certainly win a few more world titles, definitely. He's got the age on his side. As long as he keeps his feet on the floor, he's doing everything right at the moment. And but like I said, the players, the standard, everyone's sort of averaging 100. Gone are the days when you average 100 and you can guarantee winning a tournament. Now you can average 100 and go out first round. So it's just, yeah, the standard is incredibly difficult now. And everyone needs to work hard to keep up with these top players.
Do all the top players, Stephen, following on from what you said, do they all use sports therapists, psychologists? Do they use hypnotists? Is that part of it that you feel you need?
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone, but in my scenario, it was an important thing to look at. A few years ago, I was down on form, and I was going home and taking it out on my family, locking myself away, and yeah, I needed to obviously change some stuff. Seen a hypnotist, and he literally got me thinking really positive, which was unbelievable. He changed my career, to be honest, and we've done a lot of visualisation as well, lifting trophies and stuff, and 2 weeks later than that, I went on to win the Masters trophy. He worked with Kyron Wilson, and he went on to win the Snooker World Championship, and he also worked with Tom Aspinall, who went on to win the MMA heavyweight champion.
So you got an immediate result. It's fascinating to hear.
Do you remember, I mean, it's a long time ago now, but do you remember when Eric Bristow developed what they called dartitis?
Yeah.
Which was like the yips in golf, where he couldn't release the barrel. So the psychological challenges, you know, because I mean, the physical side of things, what you can say standing up on a stage for a period of time has its own toll, but it is the psychological approach that needs to be worked on. Now, I would imagine different athletes and different sportsmen and different darts players have different requirements. Some might think that psychology and approaching it for a sports therapist side of things is a load of hullabaloo, and other people might think it's the thing that they require. So I don't suppose it's one size fits all, is it, Stephen?
Definitely, yeah. And like you said, the dartitis as well. My hypnotist, he deals with stuff like that. I know people who have had dartitis who he's really helped. The way he describes that is you've got a bucket in your brain, and every negative thought goes into this bucket. It overflows like any normal bucket, and that's where your stress, your anxiety, dartitis, everything comes from. And the only way you're dealing with that is the REM state. So obviously, a 40-minute session with my hypnotist is the equivalent of like 4.5 hours sleep, which helps empty the bucket, and that's how you get rid of stuff.
Could your hypnotist help me work with these two?
He's good, but he's not that good.
I like it, Stephen. Leave me his number, mate. So listen, what chance do you give yourself of winning here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm here, aren't I? I'm in good form. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, I'd like to think that I've got all the tools in my box to be able to compete with these guys and have a really good run. I want to win it. That's why I'm here, and I'll give it my best.
I love that. And after what Alex mentioned, Iraola has got the gig at Liverpool. You happy about that?
Really happy, yeah. I think he done a fantastic job with Bournemouth as well, and yeah, I think he's going to freshen things up. I think he's got full control of the transfers as well. So really looking forward to what happens over the next few months with Iraola, and yeah, I think he's going to be a great fit for Liverpool.
Absolutely brilliant. Good luck with this this competition here, the US Darts Masters, Stephen. I don't know. Hopefully, we're going to prove to be a good omen for you. Passing through here, you go out there and you win it.
Let's hope so, eh?
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it.
Lovely. Come on, Stephen, go do it. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Alex Crook, and Stephen Bunting, and all the guys in the studio. And we're live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Fast Track delivers to you from 30 minutes. First stop, Toolstation.
Jude Bellingham left a bit on one of their players, which upset the coaching staff of Ghana at half-time. The assistant coach had something to say. He could have left it, but it's not in him, really. So he answered back, and then it kicked off, and Carlos Queiroz got involved, and Morgan Rogers was trying to get him off the pitch. You kind of sense that, managers are saying, get into him, wind him up, because he could be a walking red card. I mean, what would you be saying to him? I mean, let's be honest, you did have a little moment on the pitch where your discipline went slightly awry, didn't it?
Problem with, you don't want to ever take the fire out of Bellingham. One of my closest friends in football was Craig Bellamy, and you see Craig on the pitch, and he was fiery and non-stop arguing and bickering with opposing players, his own players, the ref, but he needed that fire to get him going. And I feel Bellingham as well. And if you try to curb that from Bellingham, I think you take away from the player. So as long as it doesn't go too far where he gets red cards, I don't think he's let his country down with red cards and stuff like that. So as long as it's controlled, just let that fire, because like you said, didn't go to plan yesterday for him, but he's one of our most talented players. And if we're going to win this World Cup, then I'm sure he's got to be key to that. So,
He shows he cares as well.
Managers do that, though, don't they? I mean, managers must be saying, look, you know what he's like, get under his skin a little bit, anything could happen.
Well, you see what happened in '98 with Simone and Beckham.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they think they can con referees or get in the head of other players, they're going to do it. It's part and parcel. The mental game's just as important as the physical game. But like you said, with Bellingham, I don't think it will ever go to the point where he will...
Sport. 2 minutes past 3, good afternoon. We are very good mates. That's Ben Stokes describing Brendan McCullum on his returning press conference as England captain ahead of tomorrow's deciding third test against New Zealand. He was asked if last week's curfew saga has brought them closer together.
Maybe in the future we look back on this and go, no, this did bring us tighter, it did bring us closer. But look, this rift, this drifting apart, that's been a thing. We certainly haven't drifted further apart than what people are speculating.
talkSPORT's cricket editor John Norman is still unconvinced that captain and coach are in harmony.
Our Brendan, as Stokes now calls him, I don't know when you stop calling him Baz,
Are Brendan and Stokes, have they had a problem? I think there's still some part of this story that is still to be told publicly.
Meanwhile, Alan Pardew says Thomas Tuchel's England were fortunate to leave Boston with a point after Ezri Konsa's dodgy challenge in the box on Prince Cabuena Adu. Pardew wants to see Rashford start against Panama and thinks he's playing with a different mindset to Anthony Gordon.
The mentality is Rashford's like, I want to get a new career. I'm thinking I need to show people where I'm at. Whereas Gordon on the other side is like, wow, 70 million Barcelona, I can't quite believe it myself. Like, I have to justify this tonight. And I think he's playing a little bit tight.
England versus Panama will be live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. If the result is better than Ghana's against Croatia, England will top the group. And he hasn't played for Brazil since 2023, but Neymar is fit to face the Scots live on talkSPORT tonight. Carlo Ancelotti says the 34-year-old can help break down Steve Clarke's well-organised team of fighters. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Cruel care and toxic bullying exposed in the NHS's largest maternity review, and a train driver who was killed in a fatal collision passed a red signal moments before. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Heatwave outside, oven inside. Stay cool this summer with a free aircon check. Book online or visit your local QuickFit today.
For the majority of us, it's very hot, dry and humid with light winds, cloudier and cooler for northwest Scotland with a little drizzle at times.
Here we are in New York. Another lovely day here in this part of the world. Just gone 10:05 in the morning. This Wednesday morning, it's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Alex Crook coming to you live from the USA World Cup Finals. 3:05 in the afternoon, back with you in the UK. And of course, these are the games tonight, and you will not miss a trick on talkSPORT. Switzerland, Canada kicks it all off. That is 8 o'clock your time. It's live in talkSPORT back in the UK. Bosnia, Qatar live at the same time on talkSPORT 2. And then later on, Scotland against Brazil live on talkSPORT. 11 o'clock with you back home. And so too is Morocco, Haiti, the other group in our group, live on the other game in our group, live on talkSPORT 2. That game at 11 o'clock, remember, as well. I mentioned earlier that so much goes on in this great city in the world of sport. Stephen Bunting has just come and gone. And, of course, the Darts Masters due to be played here at Madison Square Gardens. The World Cup is ongoing. And those are just a couple of the events that are ongoing, to be quite honest. The World Cup dominates proceedings, of course. But in the meantime, other big occasions on the horizon. In the next few days, this Saturday night at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, a big fight goes down. Xander Zayas puts his WBA and WBO belts on the line. It's the unified super welterweight champion Zayas up against the highly fancied former unified welterweight champion, the man who commands a lot of headlines out here, Jaron Boots Ennis, and it's live on DAZN. And Boots Ennis, we were delighted to hear, decided that he wanted to join us on our show. And he took the time out yesterday to come in here after we came off air, came up to the 50th floor of this World Trade Center and sat down with me to talk about this upcoming fight this weekend against Xander Zayas. This is me in conversation with Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis. This is a great thrill speaking to you, and thank you for giving us your time today. This fight, it's got all the ingredients, Boots, for a classic. What do you think fight fans are going to see this Saturday night?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. Appreciate you for having me. But on this Saturday, everybody going to see a explosive performance by me, Jaron Boots Ennis, and put on a beautiful show and come home with the victory and bring it back home two unified titles to Philadelphia, the WBO and the WBA. In the new.
Now he's the champion and you're the challenger.
Yeah.
And yet you're widely tipped as a favourite. Are we in the unusual position where all the pressure and the expectation, if you like, Boots, is on you? And if it is,
does that alter your mindset?
Nah, my mindset is on task at hand and what's in front of me, and that's my opponent, and I will get him up out of here and look good and keep doing what I'm doing, and that's winning.
What do you admire about Zayas the fighter?
He's a solid fighter. He got good fundamentals. That's about it.
That's about it?
Yeah.
No more than that?
Nah.
I mean, what does he mean to you? He's obviously the fighter in the other corner.
Yeah.
But you know all about him, right?
Yeah, I know about him, and I can't wait to take his belts. That's why I know take his titles and take them away and show the world my skills and my ability.
Let's talk about you. You've talked for a long time about how you like this division, and why wouldn't you? And when it comes to speed and power boots, how does Boots Ennis at 147 compare to this version in front of us at 154? I
feel like it's a me at 154 is just a whole lot of just me being more explosive, more elusive, and just stronger and wiser. Because I got the extra 7 pounds, so I feel way better. I feel way sharper, and this is a whole better me.
Zayas and his team have been fairly vocal about you. He says you've got slow feet, a weak body. Are you surprised, Boots, at how public he's been on as far as how he views your ability and your perceived weaknesses in the ring?
But I realize he just be talking. He don't know. He don't believe nothing he say, and he just be talking because he in front of a camera.
And that's about it.
That's about it. He can't do nothing. It's nothing that he could do. I knew all his moves, and I'm going to show him on Saturday night.
Do you think he's saying things like that to make headlines?
I think he just, like I said, I think he just get in front of the cameras and get excited and don't know what to say and start saying anything, because there's no way he believed it. But he trying to put himself out there and make a name for himself. I guess he trying to promote the fight, but that's not the way to do it, because you putting out false narratives. But he gonna see for himself on Saturday night.
He also dismissed your power at 147. He said you've gone in with people who haven't fought back. What's your reaction to that? Again, is that another cheap shot?
My reaction, I don't really have no reaction to it, because everybody that get in the ring fight back. These fighters at this level, everybody fight back. So I don't know what he talking about. I don't know reason. That's another reason why I say he just saying anything, but like I said, he gonna see for himself, because he gonna see firsthand what these punching power, these hands feel like.
Do you feel in any way you need a signature victory to shut down the critics? And would he be that signature win?
This will definitely be my signature victory for me, because I will put on a beautiful show, get the knockout, and come back home with two belts, to be the new unified WBO, WBA Super welterweight champion of the world.
I notice he also believes that you're straying into complacency. Are you treating him like an absolute equal on Saturday night?
He got 2 belts. He got what I want, and I'm going to take it. So, yeah, that's the best part, and that's going to be the most funnest part, because he got what I want, and I'm taking him Saturday night, and this is my night. It's my night to show out and have fun and put on a show.
And if you get those belts, Boots, if you do show up and win, as you clearly think you will, is the ambition to fully unify the division, potentially IBF champion Josh Kelly?
When I'm victorious this Saturday, we're not looking past his desires. But when I'm victorious this Saturday, and I bring back home these 2 belts on Saturday, the goal is to unify the division. So whoever is available, and whatever champion is available to take it on next, then let's have it. Let's make it happen.
I want to ask you about seemingly missing out on mega money and reputation-defining fights against Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. How do you feel about that? Is there truth in that?
I mean, I was at 147, for a little while, and I was trying to get those big name fights, but it didn't come to pass, and I just stayed down there, didn't try to unify and try to be undisputed, and then those guys were down there playing around, so I just moved up. So I just take it one day at a time, and just gotta be patient, and I've been patient. Now it's my time. I'm about to get about to be a 2-time unified weight division champion. So you just gotta be patient, and that's what comes to the game. Be patient, wait your turn.
Your promoter, Eddie Hearn, recently called you the pound-for-pound #1 in waiting and the successor to replace Crawford, which Terence responded with, how when he, that's you, can't even tie my shoes. Why do you believe that you'll surpass Crawford in this sport, Boots?
I don't be focused on what none of these guys be seeing. I'm focused on me, and I will surpass any and everybody because I'm the best in the world, and y'all going to see on June 27th, this Saturday.
You're the best in the world?
Yes.
How do you rate Conor Ben?
He's a solid fighter. He's a solid fighter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen what he can do. He's explosive, but does he rightly get the opportunity he's getting at the moment to get big money opportunities?
I mean, I can't really speak on it because, you know, I'm not a part of his team or whatever he got going on, but, you know, like, he getting stuff at the right time, you know, and stuff will come to you at the right time. And that's what I just said before, is you got to be patient. You know, whatever. You got to be patient. You can't, you know, worry about what this person doing or worry about what that person doing. Just be patient and wait your turn in years to come.
He wants to fight at 147, but he might end up at 154. That could be a money fight. Would you take that, Boots?
Most definitely. You know, if it come across the table, we can make it happen.
A lot of talk back in the UK about Zuffa and who's going to join it. Would you join it?
To be honest, I really haven't even been paying attention to all that stuff, and I don't know. I don't really know much about Zuffa, so I can't really speak on that.
Eddie Hearn, as I mentioned, your promoter. Why Eddie for you?
Eddie is a perfect fit. You know, he do all the talking, I back it up. But you know, I'm talking now as well, and I feel like we just mesh together well, and we bring out a different side of each other. And you know, he a great guy, great promoter. You know, he the best. He the best. You know, to me, the way he promote guys.
Boots, in the short time we've been speaking, finally, you come over to me as a very focused man. You know exactly what you want to do, and you're damn well going to do it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do on Saturday?
Saturday night, I'm gonna put on a beautiful show and have fun and get the big knockout, you know, and show the world my skills and my abilities, and you know, make this as easy as possible, you know, and come back home as a new unified super welterweight division champ. And my time is now. The WBO and WBA will be back home, you know, in Philadelphia this Saturday.
Boots, you're not just popular here, you're popular back in the UK. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. You know, I got a few fans over there, and and I'm not gonna say fans. I'm gonna say fans and supporters, and I appreciate them. You know, and I'm glad that they, you know, support me and things like that. And hopefully, I come over there one day.
Thanks very much to Jaron Boots Ennis for the time he gave us on this show yesterday. Simon, he's a fighter you rate highly, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very good fighter, and it's a false comparison to compare him with Terence Crawford at this stage, because Terence Crawford was a three-weight undisputed champion. He won a vacated belt, defended it a couple of times against reasonable opposition, and has now stepped up to light middleweight. You have to give Zayas a huge amount of credit. He has enormous balls. This is a voluntary defence. This is probably the most difficult defence in the weight class, and Zayas has taken it on as a voluntary. Eddie and their guys have had to make this fight for Jaron because contractually they want him in a certain position. I'd like to see him fight Josh Kelly. I think that's a good fight too. But he is an elite fighter. He is absolutely an elite fighter. And of course, Zayas is sitting there as the champion, watching all the noise be about Boots Ennis and how he's going to do this and how he's going to do that. It's going to be a very good fight. And clearly, the defining fights would have been Terence Crawford or Errol Spence. Those fights have evaded him for a variety of different reasons. And then when you start beating those kind of opponents, then you start making claims. But everybody in and around boxing that really knows their stuff, and I was having this conversation with Paul Smith yesterday, and Sam Jones and Adam Smith, and they're all of the mindset that irrespective of whether he's had the reputation of defining fights against opposition, Lima and Avanesian are good fights, but they're not the reputation of defining ones.
Yeah.
This guy, and I think they're right, has all the ability to be an elite fighter. It'll be fascinating to see him go through weight classes. He's gone from welter, he's out light middle. Can he go up to middleweight? What looks like in that division? Can he go through the different divisions? But there's no doubt this is going to be a good fight. It's not going to be a walkover for Jaron on Saturday night, but it's going to be a good fight. This is a brave champion. I mean, maybe the economics of it make sense for him, taking a voluntary against Boots Ennis.
Yeah.
But we're going to see a really good fight.
Okay, Xander Zayas takes on Boots Ennis just down the road here at the Barclays Centre in Brooklyn on Saturday night. It's a big one, that is for sure. Eddie Hearn, who's promoting it, will join us live on the show tomorrow. Tomorrow, Eddie Hearn joins us live here in New York.
Now, earlier in the show, we asked the all-important question. Who was faster in their pomp? Kyle Walker or Gabby Agbonlahor? Well, talkSPORT's Anil Kandala was at the talkSPORT fan zone at Villa Park last night for England against Croatia, and he put that question to some of the fans in attendance.
It's a tough call, but I'd go for Gabby. He was awesome, and no defender wants anybody with that pace running at them. So I'd go for Gabby. I would.
Quicker than Kyle Walker?
I think so. Yeah, I do. And I'm sure Gabby would agree with me.
Gabby. Well, he used to dart across the field, didn't he? I think he's better than Kyle, to be honest.
Well, we had Kyle on loan for us for many years ago, and he was quick, but Gabby was quicker.
And there you go. It might be a little bit unfair because Gabby Agbonlahor is in that building behind me, but it seems that Gabby's got the vote.
Mate, the rest of the world.
He actually spoke to about 100 people who were there, but we already decided to show 3, okay?
I clipped that up for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? When I think about Kyle, when I go back to that game, Kyle, of like, I think it might have been Germany at Wembley, and you was right side of the 3, but like you was all the way in the right back position, and I was at the game, mate, and you come sprinting across, mate. Someone was through on goal. I can't remember who it was. It was Muller, yeah. I'm like, where has this guy come from? And you've done that the last 15, 16 years, mate. Your centre-half pairings with England and Manchester City must have been looking at you thinking like, okay, maybe I can leave a bit of space in behind, because you would always just come out of nowhere and cover.
Yeah, I think that was what my game was based on. You know, I probably didn't create that much going forward with assists and stuff. I chipped in with a few, but not as much as probably what I should have done. So my main game when I got a little bit older was to make sure I can cover the back.
Incredible.
Here's a great suggestion. Jill's a regular contributor. She says, why not get both of them in the car park? Said, my money's on Kyle.
Just about, yeah.
You know football.
I'll have to kick him first.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Alex Crook. We're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Tool Station. First stop, Tool Station. Nice morning here in New York. Pretty hot back home in the UK as we understand it. This fella is living in a hotel quite near to us here at the World Trade Center and cranks his neck up from his floor on the 14th floor, I think he said to me, to us on the 50th floor here in the World Trade Center. German football broadcaster Konstantin Eckner is with us in studio. So where are you down there, Konstantin? Not far from here. You can see us up here in studio.
Yes, I'm in a Club Quarters hotel, so I can look up there and I might see you, or not. But yeah, it's a bit of a different floor where my room is.
Well, you're seeing us today because you're joining us live on the show, and I'm pleased about that. Here's the thing. Germany qualified out of the group earlier this week following that 2-1 win over the Ivory Coast. So, Konstantin, after 2 consecutive group stage exits, is it about time for Germany now?
Yeah, it feels weird, actually. It feels odd that we are out of the group stage already. Because as you say, 2018, 2022 weren't really kind to Germany, and also in 2021 at the Euros, round of 16 exit against England at Wembley. So it's about time to actually get a deeper run again.
I'll bet. You've waited long enough. Where has Dennis Undav come from?
Well, seemingly out of nowhere, not quite, but until 2020 he only played 4th division, 3rd division football. Then he moved to the 2nd division in Belgium, Union Saint-Gilloise, who are now, of course, a top team in Belgium, but he joined them when they were in the 2nd division. A year later, he was the top scorer in Belgium. Then he moved to Brighton, didn't get any foot in the door basically there, and now he's at Stuttgart. But yeah, he comes seemingly out of nowhere. He will turn 30 on the day of the final, by the way. Just saying. Yeah, but I mean, when you watch him, he's a very intelligent player. But he's not one of the most gifted athletes. There are some people who are just made to be professional footballers, or to be professional athletes in general. Undav not quite. He has to make up for it with his intelligence on the field.
What's the feeling amongst the German people and the German media about this team? Because I was at the game against Curacao. They scored 7 goals, but they gave away a lot of chances at the other end. I thought they were really fortunate to beat the Ivory Coast. If Adingra scores his opportunity, it's going to be a very different story. And just speaking to your fans at Houston, they weren't convinced this is a Germany team that can go deep in the competition, particularly defensively, and particularly when it comes to Jonathan Tah and his form.
Yeah, now he's even more important because Schlotterbeck is out for a tournament, ligament injury there. So Antonio Rüdiger at 33, he comes back. Of course,
didn't have a great season at Real Madrid.
I think okay season. I mean, he's a very controversial figure because of his style of play and his demeanor. He's aggressive, sometimes overly aggressive. But in general, the defense is a point of concern. And facing Ivory Coast, also the midfield is a point of concern right now. Because Ivory Coast, actually, with their midfield, with Franck Kessie and the other two, they dominated Germany in the first 45 minutes. It actually was down to Nagelsmann making substitutions at the hour mark, while Emmers Faye, the other coach, Ivory Coast coach, made the first substitution in the 75th minute, and his team was running out of gas at some point. So it came down to in-game coaching, but overall, Ivory Coast were at least on eye level, maybe even better than Germany.
Simon, you've got your own take on Thomas Tuchel, German, of course, and the anthem. Just remind us, what you think it would do Tuchel no harm at all to sing the national anthem?
I think, whilst I don't like the national anthem, I think it should be more of an anthem that celebrates the country, its people, rather than all hail to the boss. The anthem in and of itself, if you're going to coach a country, I think there is an argument, not necessarily the most persuasive of arguments, but an argument to say that you sing the national anthem of the country that you are embracing, that you are leading to some extent, whether it be a football manager or any other aspect of society that's leading a country. We've seen it done in rugby. I know that this is not a popular argument I'm advancing, but we saw it done with Eddie Jones and we saw it done with Warren Gatland in rugby. We saw Jurgen Klinsmann, who might have been being sycophantic at the time, but doing it for the Americans. I think there's something, and if he's going to sing it, as he said, in a World Cup final, then why would he not sing it?
Why is he not doing it now? What do you think as a German? What do you think of Thomas Tuchel? Not singing it at the moment, but maybe singing it further down the line.
I mean, if there's a coach who maybe have been living in a country for many, many years, then I might expect him to sing the national anthem. Thomas Tuchel, born in Germany, raised in Germany, lived there for, I don't know, 35 years or so. We have to look up his Wikipedia page, but I don't know why he should sing the anthem of another country.
He does claim to love the English culture. That was one of the big things when he was
appointed. Of course, but still, singing the anthem is more... I mean, if you sing the anthem, you are almost taking upon the nationality. But he's still German. He's just coaching the England team.
How's he viewed in Germany because he's taken the England job? Because I don't think you guys would accept an Englishman in charge of your national team.
Well, I mean, that might be tricky, at least. So I guess just a lot of people are curious if he actually would win the title with England or if he would anger a lot of people on the way to it. It's just, I mean, he's not that beloved in Germany, but also a lot of people are just intrigued. They're not rooting for him because they're rooting for Germany. So you're not rooting for another team, another coach, of course.
I don't think anyone was sprinting to have a German coach any more than they were sprinting to have a Swedish one. I think the fact that we can't win tournaments and that we haven't won a tournament, and I would suggest, irrespective of that particular observation, if the Germans hadn't won anything for 40, 50 years, they'd be running to anybody to coach their team.
Yeah. Would you?
But they're not in that position, are they? They've won. So they can't answer that question. If they went through an absolute a desert of winning on the international stage and won nothing, as we have done for 60 years, there might be a different argument, a different attitude and a different outlook as to what it takes to win something.
How do you think it will go down? A good idea, Constantine. If England under Tuchel end up winning this, how's it going to go down in your part of the world?
I think there would be some. I mean, it depends a little bit on where Germany go. I mean, if they are going out of the round of 16, then who cares? Maybe people actually would start rooting for Tuchel in a sense, right? There's at least one German there. It's sometimes with a German referee refereeing maybe the Champions League final. If Bayern Munich don't make it, then you're rooting for the referee, I guess.
Yeah.
In that sense. No, but I mean, then people, of course, would celebrate his achievement. There's a drought of 60 years without silverware. Of course, I mean, it would be a historic moment, and a German would coach the team to that title. But it really depends on how far Germany go. After all, you're still rooting for your own national team. But there's a great point, actually, when you have such a long drought. And even Southgate didn't do it. And also there are not that many England managers right now at the top level in the Premier League. There are a lot of foreigners there, also Germans, right? Then maybe you have to go a different route.
Yeah.
How much pressure is Nagelsmann under? Obviously, he's got him out of the group. But if he was to go out in the round of 32 or the round of 16, would there be scrutiny on his job?
I guess he's out of the job, actually, if they go out after the round of 32 or maybe even the round of 16. Because he also has angered a lot of people with kind of the way he behaves, his interviews, and how he treats some players, how he favors others. So either he's winning or he's going deep, or he's out.
OK. A lot to get through with you, Constantine, in the time we have left today. I want to throw a few names at you. Bellingham's one. Nick Voltemada is another. We're live in talkSPORT, and we're coming to you in partnership with Toolstation. First up, Toolstation. Messi became the all-time top scorer in World Cup history, 2 goals against Austria. But it's remarkable, Simon, that he continues to rewrite the history books as he approaches 39. I mean, it is remarkable.
39 tomorrow, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these players, these elite players that are now looking after themselves. Ibrahimovic was playing up until 41. You know, Ronaldo is playing despite people making observations about his form. You know, that's because they're judging him by a set of standards that he can no longer get to. Messi at 39 years of age, these are supreme athletes that look after themselves, that are consummate professionals and want to play football. It makes you wonder, without trying to be controversial, why Alan Shearer stopped playing international football so young.
Oh, that's right.
You know, you wonder why these players can look after them. So you wonder how clever Harry Kane will be that will enable him to play to this age, because you know, football's a wonderful game to play, and you're a long time retired.
Yes.
So well done to him. Fabulous.
He's competing in his 6th World Cup. He's scored 18 goals in the tournament, which is 2 more than Miroslav Klose, the previous record holder. He's the 3rd player to score in 6 successive appearances at a World Cup after Just Fontaine, great name, in 1958, and Jorginho, you remember him, in 1970.
You at those games?
I wasn't at that. I've met Jorginho, incidentally, in Rio many years ago. With him in this form, though, why can't Argentina win the World Cup again? Do you have a sneaky feeling they might?
No. I think that, you know, there has been instances, and we've seen it, and I know that I'm rolling against the precedent.
Yeah.
But on the whole, teams win World Cups. Now, obviously, we've seen the '86 World Cup being dragged there by Maradona. We've seen...
We all know that in history, Pele's a GOAT. He's won the World Cup 3 times, the only man to have done so. But let me tell you about the one he didn't win, and that made him quit World Cups for good. Ahead of the 1966 World Cup in England, Brazil were favourites again. They won in both 58 and 62, meaning a historic three-peat was on. But their opponents all had plans to stop Pele. Bulgaria set a trend in the first group game. The instruction? Take Brazil's main man out of the game. Pele came away so battered and bruised he couldn't even take part in Brazil's next match against Hungary, which they lost. He returned for the next one against Portugal, but they channeled their inner Bulgaria. This is one of numerous brutal challenges throughout the 90s. Remember, this was pre-substitution, so Pele had to hobble on before being carried off at the end. It's even tough to look at now. Brazil lost and were out in the group stage. Speaking years later, Pele still had sore memories. At the time, he said he'd never play at the World Cup again. FIFA responded by introducing subs and red and yellow cards. Pele did come back in 1970 as part of the greatest team in World Cup history.
Yep, New York, not here, but in Miami later. Scotland going against Brazil. We'll see how that one turns out. But it's another day here at these World Cup finals here in the USA. And we're coming to you live from New York. It's just gone 3:30 at home in the afternoon with you in a very warm and humid UK. We wish you all well back there. We're doing fine out here. German football broadcaster Konstantin Eckner has joined Simon, myself and Alex here at the World Trade Center. Konstantin, we're talking about the Germans. I want to throw in Michael Olise. Of course, who goes from the Premier League in England, Simon's old club, Crystal Palace, to Bayern Munich, has an incredible season. How much has his game grown at Bayern Munich this season, would you say?
He has gathered the kind of experience you only get when you play the Champions League and these kind of matches against Paris, for instance, in the semi-finals. His style of play hasn't really changed when you watched him at Crystal Palace. Same kind of style, right? Coming from the right, cutting inside like an Iron Robben, basically. There's a Bayern connection, right? Yeah. Iron Robben for years made that kind of move maybe 1 million times for Bayern Munich. Now it's Michael Olise. His speed, his ball control are out of this world. They were already tremendous when he played for Crystal Palace, or even before when he came up at Reading and played in the Championship. Same style, but of course now he has that kind of experience, because I know scouts and analysts who told me a few years ago he never really shows up in the big matches, but now he does. Now he scores. Yeah. Now he's great. Yeah. And that's a big thing. And it's of course a shame for England. He's born in London, played for Arsenal, for the Chelsea Academy, Manchester City Academy. He's called Michael Olise, not Michael Olise. But he's still playing for France.
That's the thing. You fellas might have had him, Simon.
Yeah. I mean, Dougie Friedman, I think, was the person that convinced Palace to purchase him. I think he will naturally get better by playing with better players. So whatever he had in his locker at Crystal Palace and exhibited to such a level that a giant like Bayern Munich, we're seeing these clubs that are the lesser thans in the Premier League, with due respect to my old club, and Bournemouth, that seeing their top players being bought by the top clubs. Now, going into German football, playing for a fiercely competitive league that's been won by the same team predominantly for the last 15 years, has its own advantages, doesn't it? And he's playing with better players. He's playing in an environment where if you play with better players, your standard rises and you get better. So he's a top talent. Hence the reason why he went to Bayern Munich, and hence the reason why Palace were able to get the kind of money they got for him.
Talk to me about Jan Diamonde, because I was just having a conversation there with somebody close to this deal. We know Liverpool have had an offer of 80 million plus 20 million euros rejected by Leipzig. It's my understanding they won't necessarily bid again unless they get encouragement that Leipzig are willing to negotiate what they deem a reasonable price. Do you think he's more likely to go or stay at this point?
So Leipzig want to keep him for another year. They actually want to increase his salary without extending his contract, just making him more happy. You can do that sometimes. It might work, but he actually might want to leave this summer and join Liverpool, Paris, you name it. Also, we talked about Dennis Undav, and we talked about another player who came out of nowhere. 2 years ago, he played in Daytona Beach for DME Academy, high school level, semi-professional level football in the United States, because he emigrated there when he was 15. Then he was passed on by MLS sides, by the Rangers, a year earlier. Then he played for Leganés half a season. Now his first full season in Europe, and he's already a £100 million euro player. That's one of a rising star you've never seen before, basically.
Quite a story, isn't it? This was quite a story as well when Alexander Isak went from Newcastle to Liverpool. Nick Voldemade, we didn't know much about him, of course, played in the Bundesliga. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge said, what idiot is going to pay 69 million for Nick Voldemade, upstep Newcastle? Are we going to see him do much at these World Cup finals, do you think? Constantine?
I'm not really sure. Harvard is the #1 striker, and Dennis Undav is the super sub. So there's no place left for Nick Voldemade. Harvard and Voldemade yesterday had a very competitive badminton game at the training ground. Voldemade was going for force. Harvard was going for technique. It was interesting. And trash talk only on Voldemade's side, basically. There are some funny stories. We won't go into it, but it was really funny. Harvard had one really good counter that he actually played football already, or played in the Bundesliga, while Voldemade was still a handball player at Werder Bremen, because he was a two-sport athlete at some point.
Oh, he was a handball player, was he?
He played handball until he was 15 and played football at the same time. Yeah. He decided to go the football route, of course. The problem with Voldemade has always been that he is 6'5". So you see him, you think he's a center forward, you should play in the middle. But watching him, especially when he played for Stuttgart or for the under-20s, 21 national team for Germany, when they were really good at that Euros, he's actually more of a secondary striker, number 10 type of player. He's actually better when he's playing behind the real striker. But at Newcastle, with their 4-3-3, he's playing in the middle, and he's expected to score. He has scored twice since the beginning of this calendar year.
Right. You're nodding, Simon, are you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Karl-Heinz Rummenigge's observations were steeped in the fact about the price, because Bayern Munich wanted to sign him. So he can't be that bad a player, can he? He was what he was basically ruminating against and railing against, which is the constant cry and whining of other leagues, is how much Premier League clubs are prepared to spend on players. Mind your business, worry about what you're prepared to spend on players. And so the idea that he was a bad player, he was recruited. It's very difficult, and I'm not suggesting it shouldn't be, very difficult to be a number 9 at Newcastle. You know, there were many players that have... I mean, Joe Linton was turned from a centre-forward into a midfield player, and they got lucky. Now they're trying to do this with Voldemade. You know, it's difficult for the kid, because he isn't the player that they bought for the position they bought him for. If you look at some of the football he played in the season that he was signed, he's got good feet, he's a clever footballer. Now he looks lost. He looks like a player that comes on and plays wide midfield, which is clearly not his position. Yeah. So it's one thing saying who's mad enough to pay £69 million for football. It's another thing criticising the player himself, because if you wanted to sign him, you're talking about the price. Right. The old Lady Astor argument, that we know the value of everything, the price of nothing.
The market in the Bundesliga is distorted. I mean, we're talking about Diamonde. 100 million euros for a player who's only really had one season at the top level. It's a huge offer to turn down.
Because they know the Premier League clubs have the money. So that's just called the economics of sport. If you're foolish enough to be able to enrich the leagues that actually need the money, because the Bundesliga can't shine a light to the domestic revenues that the Premier League gets, it's miles behind it. So if you're prepared as a Premier League to prop up every other league by spending hundreds of £1 million on their footballers, you can't blame the leagues for charging that kind of price.
Especially the sporting directors, they know when there's a Premier League club
like that, aren't they?
contacting them, like Markus Krösche at Frankfurt, right, who has made these deals, Omar Mamouche, Hugo Ekitike. When they know there's Liverpool calling, or Manchester City, or Manchester United of all teams, they know, all right, we charge 20% more, probably, because they might be mad enough to actually pay that money to us, and then we are looking like the smartest persons in the room. And some Premier League teams have actually paid these prices. Because Bayern Munich, when Rummenigge said that, before they made an offer in the range 40, 45 million, then Newcastle comes around, and they pay almost 85 million euros.
EAT. English added tax.
But it's crazy sometimes.
Actually, Constantine, while you're with us, it was thought Anthony Gordon was going to go from Newcastle to Bayern. In steps Barcelona, he's gone to Barcelona. What happened there? Did Bayern feel they missed out big time?
Yeah, because I actually reported that at some point they were very confident that they would land the Anthony Gordon deal. Bring him in as one for the left wing, because they have right now Luis Diaz, but Luis Diaz might not be there forever, and he's getting older, so having another winger on the left side might be actually advantageous to Bayern. So they were very confident at some point, but then it turns out Barcelona contacted him. He learned Spanish when he was 10, or apparently, or whatever happened there. It was very surprising when he all of a sudden spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
But yeah, that told you that Bayern Munich was a place he considered to go. But then he ended up at Barcelona because he wanted to go there more than to Bayern, and yeah, they are left out.
Those clubs are seeing something I'm not. I don't get it. Do you?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because you've got two of the biggest clubs in the world that are looking at him and going, their coaches are seeing something in him. The England manager sees something in him. So I'm in your camp. I look at him. I think he's a decent. I think he had a decent second half. Decent first half in against Ghana. But I look at him and say, how is that a £70 million footballer? Newcastle must be rubbing their hands.
Yeah.
But Barcelona and Bayern are not fools.
No.
These are not fools.
And we'll see what happens with Scotland-Brazil tonight, Constantine. Thereafter, there is a possibility Germany, your Germany, could play my Scotland in the round of 32. Do you fear Scotland?
I think the correct answer in this environment would be yes, of course. When I'm out the door on social media, no, of course not. and not necessarily. I mean, there was a Germany-Scotland game to open the Euro 2024, and we know how that ended at Allianz.
Oh, so yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pass over that. Constantine, wonderful to see you again, my friend. I'm so glad you're enjoying the World Cup out here, just as we are. And of course, just a reminder, and it's live later tonight on talkSPORT, Scotland-Brazil from Miami. Constantine Eckner with us live in studio, and we're in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation.
Steve Clarke's taken a bit of heat since the Morocco game, Alan, because, there was a feeling that Shankland, who is a natural finisher, maybe should have been on the pitch, never got a chance.
Well, I was going to come to that, guys, because this Brazil game, what does he do? Does he sit back, and if we get beat 1-0, it's probably enough to qualify, which is remarkable, which is brilliant? Or does he have a go and say, look, let's push them back, let's try and get at them? Now, who do you play up front? Do you play Shea Adams again, who's more mobile than Shankland? Shankland is the best finisher Scotland have got in the squad. He's a McCoy's job. You know, he can finish, make no mistake. So he'll be kicking Steve Clarke saying, you got to play me. You got to play me. I'm in great form. So it's an interesting one. But whoever plays there, as I say, guys, I think John McGinn's the one who's got to try and spark off him when the ball goes forward. We've got to retain some sort of possession, or we're going to be under so much pressure. And down that left-hand side, Vinicius Jr., that's the side that really worries me for Scotland. We've got to block that off. But in saying that, look, as long as we defend better, give no stupid goals away. In fact, the goal against Morocco, that was a great finish. I'm not going to whinge and say, how can you lose a goal that early? It was a great finish. It was an offside decision. He pushed up when he shouldn't have done, and we got punished. After that, second half, we were great. I thought Christie come on and done well. And I thought the boy from Norwich done well. Kenny McLean, he come on and done well. So it's going to be an intriguing one. It's going to be, all eyes will be on the coach to see what he does and how he plays and what formation he plays.
I mean, another one is Gannon Doak, who's very popular with the fans. But you talk about Vinny Jr., I mean, maybe one way...
He looked good when he came. Yeah. In both games he's looked good.
But he's great going forward, isn't he? Well, maybe you've got to do a defensive job first, and if you need to be chasing it, that's when you bring Gannon Doak on, I guess.
Yeah, well, this is the dilemma that, managers have to make.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Football form roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. The world's gone football. Get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Here in New York, before we go today, time to catch up on the odds thanks to Sky Bet. And we're joined by Michael Shinners from Sky Bet, who's going to look at today's football and discuss the odds round and about it. Michael, always good to speak to you. What do you make of it? England 0, Ghana 0.
Absolute belter, Jim. What a result for the bookmakers that was. Tremendous. We had there was 1,400 customers who backed the draw at 0-0, 13-2. They were delighted. I suspect the rest of the country was fairly underwhelmed. But look, they're going to qualify for the for the next for the knockout stages. So sort of no drama there. But with my bookmakers hat firmly on, once it was clear that 0-0 was a runner for us, the last 10 minutes you were just delighted watching every skied shot, every missed pass, and every disappointing corner. So no, very good, Jim.
I'm glad you're happy. Ronaldo got a brace. What are you thinking?
Yeah, he was 9-4 to get that brace. He's 22-1 to be top goal scorer now. Lionel Messi still heads the market with ourselves at 7-4. Kylian Mbappe at 2-1. It's kind of hotting up. I guess we just wait to see who plays in the third games. Messi possibly likely to be rested, which brings the others into contention. But Cristiano Ronaldo 22-1 for top goal scorer.
All right. Simon thinks, am I right? Scotland might get something out of it against Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's also because I want to lull you into a full sense of security.
I know you do.
That when you get walloped,
I know you do.
We can all laugh.
And you've done exactly that. So Scotland, Brazil. Come on, Michael.
Yeah, 8-1. Jim, to win today. 92 the draw, 100-30 on Brazil. So look, it's going to be a really tough. It's going to be a tough ask for Scotland, but a draw would be more than enough, I think, to get them through to the next stages. They're 4-11 to qualify, 2-1 not to qualify. And if you are incredibly optimistic and think that they will beat Brazil and Morocco won't get the result they want, 40-1 to finish top. And if you think it's going to be a repeat of that 1998 game, which I think you've mentioned a couple of times, Jim, 15-2 for 2-1 to Brazil.
You remember, Sam, 1974, Billy Bremner, West Germany, World Cup final. Scotland.
Oh, I remember. I was 5 or 6.
Were you? Scotland 0.
You were drawing your pension then.
Thank you so much. Scotland 0, Brazil 0. It can be done. It can be done.
I think I'm right in saying Scotland have never beaten a South American team at a World Cup.
Cheers. Now then, let's finish with key player markets. What are you thinking, Michael?
Yeah, plenty of boosts here, Jim. Cunha, who obviously got 2 goals in the first game, 2+ shots, 6-4 boosted with ourselves. Casemiro, who always seems to sort of turn up, corners, free kicks. So a headed shot on target boosted to 5-2. And then if we're going down the Scotland, the angle, Scott McTominay to score a goal or assist at 5-1. Probably a lot rests on him and also John McGinn, but hopefully one of those two will turn up for you.
I hope so, Michael. Thank you. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to Sky Bet. 18+, gambleaware.org.
18+, gambleaware.org.
Simon, I remember you at one stage when we were looking very closely at the run-in in Scotland. You were saying if Hearts win the Premier League title there, that would be the story. Martin O'Neill wrote a different story, didn't he?
He did. I think nobody cares in Scotland if the English press are covering it, but the scale of interest in the UK elevated because Hearts were dividing the orthodoxy. Nobody is interested, besides the fan bases of Rangers and Celtic, if they win the league, because they've won it for 115 times. Hearts creating a new narrative that might intrigue broadcasters, which might bring more money into the sport, was part of the reasons why I was interested in seeing them do it.
Well, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth for Hearts when, not long after that, striker Lawrence Shankland went to Rangers. And what do you know? Today, for the first time, this fella's been speaking about going to Rangers as well. He played for them. Now, Derek McInnes has left Hearts and will manage Rangers. He has got the job going forward at Rangers. Somewhat controversial, yes. In the last few moments, back in Glasgow, McInnes has been talking about his decision to go from Edinburgh to Glasgow, to go from Hearts to Rangers.
I love my time at Hearts. Hearts is a brilliant club. My time at Hearts was short, but it was brilliant. I would love to have managed Hearts longer. To be honest, I thought I should have been there a lot longer before I was appointed. And we had a special season. There's no two ways about it. It was tough how it all played out, but proud of the work that we all done, my staff, the players together. We did some great things there, and we, as I said, this time last year, getting appointed at Hearts, they were a bottom 6 team. To us to get 80 points, break club records, left, right and centre, we just fell short to win a title, which, hurt on the day. But, as I say, becoming Rangers manager was something that I always wanted to do. The call was a surprise when it came about, because obviously the manager was in place here. I was on my holiday, and obviously all things kind of kicked off, and it was a busy 5 or 6 days in between. But I had a lot to consider, but becoming Rangers manager is something I've always wanted, and I feel so comfortable with the decision was made, and being here feels right.
It feels right, he says, Simon. So can he be faulted from going from Hearts to Rangers? He played for Rangers in the past.
Depends if you are the owner of Hearts and you feel that you gave him an opportunity. He's not a prolific winner as a manager, is he? What's he won? The Scottish League Cup 10, 12 years ago against Inverness.
But he turned it round at Hearts, to be fair, as he
said. But they bottled it. They gave it back to Celtic. It was Hearts to lose. Their performances when it came on top. He had a lot of noise, a lot of bold observations, and I appreciated the opportunity to watch Hearts divide the top 2, but he didn't. So they're taking someone that bottled it into a Rangers team that need to be able to be better than they were, that need to be able to push forward. So it's an interesting appointment. Yes, I can hear all the noise about how he played for Rangers and how that anyone that has played for them, and I've seen the scale of the club, would want to manage them. They needed a manager. So if they think that he was the best version for themselves, I mean, nothing the Rangers have done really in the last 12 months under this new ownership should fill anybody with a great deal of confidence, should it?
I'm really intrigued to hear him say there that, quotes, I always wanted the Rangers job, because I reported before Danny Roll was appointed that McInnes wanted the job and got quite a bit of backlash from people close to him for suggesting that he would be disloyal and leave Hearts.
OK. Well, Derek McInnes got the job and cracks on now in charge of Rangers. We shall crack on now here in New York as we come up to 11 a.m. Simon, thanking you. I'll see you later on. Appointment. Scotland, Brazil. Alex, brilliant. Welcome from Dallas to New York.
Loved it.
In the meantime, guys, coming up next, Rory Jennings and Darren Bent will be taking all of your calls following England's game as they bring you World Cup Game Day Drive. So don't go anywhere. Back in the UK, you're coming up to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Try and stay cool, whatever you do. That's it from New York for now.
Very, very disappointed. I know it can happen, and you know, if you're an England fan, you're used to this disappointment at every tournament at some stage. But I've got to tell you, mate, I'm going after one person. I'll tell you that person is in a second.
Who is it? I want to know.
Going after Tuchel, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah. I thought his team selection was wrong. I thought he changed it